You just need to know that the people who have been treated by me will definitely be cured. The male doctor said confidently. Seeing that the two doctors were about to leave, Li Bai stopped them again. I temporarily conscripted you, you wait. Who will pull out the tube for me later? The water in the bottle has reached the bottom. Pull it out yourself and press it with a cotton ball. You are a man, but you are more timid than a woman. The female doctor finally couldn't help but turn around and criticize Li Bai. As for Li Bai's conscription, the two doctors did not care at all. No one could command the people of the Zhang family and Wang family without an imperial edict. Looking at the doctor who was gradually disappearing in the rain, Li Bai sighed and said to himself, sure enough, there is no good doctor. Medical ethics, medical ethics. A doctor should have the heart of a parent. Ma-san, come here. Find the original doctor of the medical center in the city and pull out the tube for me later. Ma-san was sweating profusely after running around. When he heard Li Bai calling him, he saw that it was a small matter like pulling out the needle. He held back his helplessness and said, Sir, I will pull it out for you later. The people in the medical center are all busy. That bastard Yan Jing has made the people in the county suffer. When I passed by the south gate just now, I took a glance and was really tortured there. Ah! Now the officials have no medical ethics, and the doctors have no medical ethics. I don't trust you to pull it out. You should at least tell me what disease you have. Li Bai was still worried. My lord, why don't you go back to the inn and rest? I'll get someone to prepare a bowl of ginger water for you. Take a nap and you'll definitely recover when you wake up. When I'm done here, I'll look for the doctor and ask him what's wrong with you. I won't give up until I know the truth. Ah. This is not necessary. He said that I don't know how to use the medicine. Looking at how confident he is, he should be a famous doctor. Li Bai no longer entangled himself with the pathology of his body and sent Ma-san away. Suddenly, he thought about it. Not to mention the doctor's medical skills, at least his confident attitude made people feel at ease. Oh. This is the gap between us. I also need to be confident. Li Bai seemed to have a better understanding of things. He looked up at the bottle hanging high up and pretended to be calm as he commanded. Wang Wei did not know where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went. He did not chase after them to report the situation to the county. He thought that there was a special intelligence officer in charge of reporting. At this time, Wang Wei was at the south gate, directing people to pave the road for the convenience of passage. With the arrival of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, all kinds of materials collected from other places began to be transported to Hongnong. Some of the food that came with Xiaobei had already been transported into the city. The road at the south gate was even worse. Wang Wei stood at the gate to coordinate. The overall command of the county was naturally handed over to Zhang Xiaobao. Wang Wei never thought that he could do better than Zhang Xiaobao. It was said that when Zhang Zhong first came to Luzhou, the person in charge of the distribution of materials was not Zhang Zhong. It was his eldest son, Zhang Xiaobao, who was not even 10 years old. According to witnesses, at that time, the flood was monstrous, dark clouds covered the world, and the faint cry of a dragon could be heard. It was afraid that it was ordered to come from the immortal court and punish the world. Zhang Xiaobao and Cuckoo pointed to the sky and asked the immortals if they dared to fight. The dragon retreated in fear, the clouds dispersed, and the moon and stars appeared. It is said that it is just a rumor. What does the house in the sky look like? Ah! Wang Wei muttered and looked at the sky. Suddenly, he sneezed. Only then did he remember that he had not taken the medicine given by the doctor. He walked to a place at the gate where hot water was boiled. He poured the medicine into his mouth and reached out for half a bowl of hot water. Then, he took 2 deep breaths and swallowed the medicine with water in his mouth. He felt much more relieved. It would be better if there was a skewer of mutton. Chicken is fine too. After taking the medicine, Wang Wei faintly smelled the aroma of roasted meat. He looked at the person who was boiling the water and said with a smile, "My uncle is an official, my uncle is an official." Suddenly, he heard someone beside him and felt his trouser leg being pulled. Wang Wei looked down. He saw a little boy holding a skewer of meat and looking up at him. The skewer was filled with pieces of meat dripping with oil. No wonder it smelled so good. Wang Wei sniffed uncontrollably and gave the little boy a smile that he thought was the most sincere. The little boy's face that was still stained with dirt also turned into a flower. "Uncle Officer, I will treat you to meat skewers. I was wrong last time. Now I know that there are good things in being an official." After hearing the little boy's words, Wang Wei recognized who he was. It was the little boy whose family specialized in barbecuing meat skewers. At that time, he said that there was no good in being an official and ran into the rain with anger and disappointment toward the whole Tang Empire. No matter how hungry Wang Wei was, he could not snatch the food from the little boy. He said with a smile, "So my position is good?" "Yes, yes. It is good. Eat the meat. I roasted it. I am full. I roasted it especially for Uncle. Each piece is 1/3 of the muscle, 1/3 of the fat, and 1/3 of the lean meat. Ha! If Uncle doesn't eat it, I will throw it away. I will really throw it away." The little boy introduced the meat and pretended to throw it away. The people in the yamen really don't know how to barbecue meat. They are indeed professionals. While he was talking to himself, Wang Wei strolled in front of Yan Zheng and waved the stick in his hand. "County Magistrate Yan, I'm afraid I won't be able to take away the benefits from playing mahjong. I wanted to put in a good word for you, but who would have thought that a child who gave me meat skewers would say that I'm a good official? A good official naturally can't speak up for a bad official. That child's family barbecued meat and raised a lot of livestock that they were going to kill for barbecued meat. You killed his livestock, so I'm being generous. Come, I'll let you smell it. It smells good. When I return to the capital, I'll help you in Hanyuan Palace." Chapter 932. 1-2-1-2. Let's take a break first. Everyone, listen to me. We have a difficult task now, and that is to rescue the trapped children in Old Willow Village. At the same time, we will help the locals rebuild their homes. The terrain there is high, so we will stay there for a while. Is there anyone who is afraid or misses their parents? In order to make room for reconstruction in the county town, Xiao Bei led more than 300 children out of the county town so that the adults would not be distracted. Unfortunately, after running for less than 3 miles, some children cried for their parents. Xiao Bei had no choice but to stop and use his talent to trick a group of children under the age of 12 into obeying him. The children above the age of 12 stayed in the county town to help. Seeing Xiao Bei stop and hold the loudspeaker in his hands, the crying children almost instantly quieted down. Alternating between crying and laughing was the ability of every child. Xiao Bei smiled with satisfaction. He swept his eyes around and pointed at a little boy in the group. He continued to shout, "I see a little boy who is not a man. He is still wiping his tears. So embarrassing. He can't even compare to us girls. That's him. I didn't." The boy who was pointed at could not bear the stares of the group of children. He hurriedly explained and rubbed his eyes. "The wind is strong. Sand got into my eyes. No, it's raining now. How can there be sand? Shame, shame." A little girl beside him did not believe him. "Yes, there was a gust of wind just now. You ran with your head down, so you didn't see it. The little boy made a threatening look. I ran with my head up just now. Shame, shame. You can't compare to us girls. The little girl was not stupid. She hid behind another child and used her fingers to scratch her face. Are you looking for a beating? The little boy flew into a rage out of humiliation. He clenched his fist and waved it. Idiot, no, how dare you? If you dare to hit her, I will tell my father that my restaurant does not accept your family's tofu, even if the price is cheap. My father said that your tofu can only be steamed and cannot be fried. Once it is fried, it will break. Another little girl stood out to defend the injustice. That means my tofu is tender. The little boy also knew how to find a way out. He was very smart to find an excuse for his family's tofu. Tender actually meant that there was a lot of water. Other people's tofu could be made from 1 kilogram of beans, and his family's tofu could be made from 1 kilogram of beans. After listening for a while, Xiao Bei said, there was indeed a gust of wind just now. If you don't know whether what he said is true or not, you will continue watching, right? Yes. The group of children yelled. Xiao Bei was very satisfied. At the same time, he felt that the other party was really a child. If it was him, he definitely wouldn't have followed suit. I'm really not crying. When my tofu shop opens, I'll treat you to it, the little boy added. Xiao Bei, Xiao Bei, Xiao Bei, Xiao Bei, go back to the road. Xiao Bei, go back. As for whether or not he could eat the tofu that the little boy's family had grinded for him, it didn't matter. Xiao Bei knew that his family made their own tofu. 1 kilogram of beans could make more than 4 kilograms of tofu. If they used gypsum to make the tofu, it would not be a problem to make 6 kilograms. It was the same for beans. The reason was all in the process. The amount of bean dregs, the amount of water added, and the amount of soy milk in the water lost when pressing the tofu were all very important. Of course, 6 kilograms of tofu from 1 kilogram of beans was not suitable for making fermented bean curd or stinky tofu. Otherwise, it would all to fly when soaked in the brine. Xiao Bei was satisfied with the children's obedience. As he walked, he thought about whether he should tell others about the process of making tofu, but he could not make up his mind. Seeing Xiao Yuan, who was reciting a book while walking, Xiao Bei poked him with his finger. Xiao Yuan, I just thought about making tofu. Should I tell others how to make more tofu? I am in a dilemma. Oh, tell them. Xiao Yuan turned his head and glanced at the children. Without waiting for Xiao Bei to answer, he said, since brother and sister put you in charge of this, you can make the decision. Even if it is wrong, brother and sister will agree. For example, when you went to Jian and County to be the county magistrate, as long as you didn't kill the people in the county, it didn't matter how much we made. Even if the people in the county lost everything or their houses, it wouldn't be a problem. Brother and sister will naturally compensate for it. Fortunately, we succeeded at that time. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for us to come out and play again. We have never made any big mistakes, so we can still come out and be patrollers. So, if you want to tell us the secret of producing more tofu, just tell us. After you tell us, even if you make a mistake, brother and sister will smooth things over. The one who developed the process will have to compensate. Yes, it was made by a carpenter's wife under the guidance of brother and sister. We have already rewarded her family, but the reward is not for the ownership of the tofu production process, but for the spirit of research that succeeded. Although everything made by the inner yard belongs to the main family, including the people of the inner yard, our family situation is a little special. There is a problem of reputation. The person who made the product will enjoy most of the glory, which is the right of authorship, and a small part of the benefits. For example, if I tell Sister Pomegranate and Sister Xiaohong, how will I compensate the reputation? Xiao Bei knew a lot about this. He ate a piece of meat less, he lied to her that the chili was delicious, and she cried because of the spiciness. There were many other things. Xiao Bei did not have the slightest intention of stopping him. Instead, he joined in the fight. In order to trick a boy, he ate 2 chili in a row. In the end, the boy was fooled and grimaced because of the spiciness. Xiao Bei breathed out and drank half of the cold water in his stomach. He forced the rice that he could not eat to be pushed to Xiao Yuan so that Xiao Yuan could not stop chewing hawthorn pills during the journey. Around 5 in the afternoon, they arrived at the boundary of Old Willow Village. In front of them was a river that was about 90 feet wide. 7 iron chains swayed in the wind and rain on the river. The 7 iron chains were one on each side of the river. The bridge was 5, and the distance between them was more than a foot. The bridge was bare and there were no planks. On the other side of the river, they could vaguely see villagers weaving willow webs diagonally into the water. When fish flowed along the river, they would accidentally get stuck in the net. After their gills passed through the holes in the net, they would not be able to move forward or backward due to their large bodies. They would then be pulled up and placed in a wicker basket. Looking at the flowing water under the bridge, Xiao Bei scratched his head. He picked up a bumpy soil and threw it down. Looking at the speed of the water, he took a deep breath and said, "It will be very tiring to jump in and swim across." Xiao Yuan looked down at the water and shook his head. "If there is one person in our team who can swim across, it will be you." "I can't." "This is not a matter of who is good at swimming, it is a matter of who is lucky." "Then find a board and let someone lay it down." I guess the board was deliberately removed by the villagers to prevent the people sent by Yan Jing from crossing the river. "Look, it was even built by my family's Xinjiang construction group." "Write it down." Xiao Bei found a record of the bridge on the pier of the bridge. Those who were close to it looked. Indeed, there was a line of words engraved on it. "Xinjiang Construction Group is passing by." The villagers raised their own money to build it for free. The iron chains were not built by my family. They probably used some cement. Looks like the money that Xinjiang Construction Group earned in Hongnong County was all spent. Otherwise, why would they let the village pay for the iron chain bridge? Xiao Yuan analyzed. Yes. My family's Xinjiang Construction Group is not a profit-making department. Its role is to support the workers by helping the family earn a good reputation. It is also a training department for engineers. Zhang Fang, who did not like to talk, used her hand to stroke the words. Xiao Bei lifted his leg and kicked the pier twice. The problem now is how to cross. Carry them one by one. I'm afraid it will be dangerous. Xiao Zhu, who also did not like to talk, pursed her lips and said softly, "Why don't we learn from the stories that brother and sister tell when they are chatting?" Chapter 933. When the members of the seedling protection team stood in a straight line, the people who were fishing on the other side of the river stopped what they were doing and looked in their direction in confusion. The fishermen in Old Willow Village naturally saw the arrival of so many people. It would be a lie to say that such a large team of adults and children was not attractive. The people in Old Willow Village did not know what so many people were planning. At first, they thought they were just passing by, but when they saw them stop at the pier of the bridge, they guessed they were preparing to cross the river. "Third Grandpa, they want to cross the river. Where are the planks we removed from the bridge? Don't let any children fall." A young man in his 20s among the fishermen looked at the person next to him and asked. In fact, he wanted to help. He knew where the planks were placed. The person he called Third Grandpa was the village chief and also the head of the Liu family. At the same time, he was the only person in the village with the status of a high scholar. He was stubborn and xenophobic, so the young man was worried that he would not agree. The truth was just as he guessed. The old man did not show any intention of helping. He said, "I used it to build a shed for the chickens. I can't take it out. Those people don't know how to find a place to hide from the rain." Instead, they brought a group of children to play. "Do you know who they are? They might be kidnappers. Go and call for help. Our old Willow Village is not a place where just anyone can come and cause trouble." Third Grandpa, "They don't look like bad people to me." The young man did not want to get into a fight. "What? Did they carve words on their faces? Go." The old man was obviously angry. "Ah." The young man agreed and turned to run into the village. However, he had just run less than 30 steps when the old man's voice sounded again. Wait and see. Where did they come from? It's strange." When the young man heard the order, he stopped and turned to look. He was stunned by what he saw. He saw 3 rows of people walking out of the crowd on the opposite bank. 2 rows were on the left and right. They held the rope with one hand and pulled the people in the middle row with the other hand. The 3 rows crossed the bridge together. When they reached the end of the bridge, the front row stopped and the back row connected. Then, he heard the clear voice of a girl, "Protect the left and right. Lie down in the middle. It's time to protect the seedlings." The 3 rows of people immediately moved. The left and right sides of the iron rope with their forearms crossed. The row in the middle was close together and they lay down on the iron rope. For a moment, the left and right were walls, and the middle was a road. Then, the fishermen of Old Lu Village saw the children wearing bamboo hats and walking towards the river on the road paved by people. They felt that the bridge was actually more stable than the wooden planks. It was not slippery, and the wind could not penetrate it. Third Grandpa, it doesn't look like he's abducting, selling children." The young man walked to the old man's side and said with a complicated expression. The old man was speechless. His small eyes narrowed even more. It was only when the first child crossed the bridge and was settled down by the person who came from the other side of the bridge that he sighed and muttered, "Sigh. Drifting in the wind and rain, I swing back, proudly lying down on the shore, my heart sincere. Hong Nong's world has changed." Where's the change? The young man raised his head. "The people from the Zhang family and the Wang family are here. The one from Sanshui County, quick, go back to the village and ask someone to make room. Ertzi, you go." The old man instructed another young man to go back to the village. The young man at the front didn't understand. "Old Grandpa, you are." Xiao Bei didn't agree with the old man's words. After refuting, she remembered that she didn't know the identity of the other party. The old man didn't care. Since Xiao Bao and Cuckoo said there is, then there must be. "I'm the Muramesa of Old Willow Village." "Ah, so it's Grandpa Muramesa. I've heard so much about you. Grandpa Muramesa, I finally meet you. Let's not talk nonsense. Help the children to settle down. It's time for them to freeze." Xiao Bei, who was about to be polite, was pulled by Xiao Yuan. She quickly changed her words and talked about business. "Grandpa Liu, I'm Zhang Xiaohai. I have other important things to ask of you." Xiaohai was afraid that his sister would forget the important things when she was happy, so he stood up and said. The old man was shocked and quickly said, "Don't say anything. If the Zhang family and the Wang family ask for something, it must be for the Tang Empire. How can we retreat? Is there something in the county? That's also my business. Just tell me and I'll do it. The emperor has one child, and I serve the Tang Empire with no disloyalty. Grandpa Lu looks like a good person. Oh, you're a good person even if you don't look. My name is Zhang Xiaobei. Grandpa Lu calls me Xiaobei. Xiaobei didn't expect to meet such a strong old man in a small village. She confirmed his identity, meaning that she didn't want the old man to call her an official. Some people should be respected. Old man Lu was speechless. Then he smiled and praised, "This old man is jealous of the old bastards from the Zhang and Wang families. It's not because of their generous salary, but because of their descendants. I don't know how they taught them. They're still young, but they're much better than most people who are in their 30s. This is filial piety." When Xiaobei and the other 9 children heard Grandpa Lu mention their elders, they immediately raised their heads and leaned forward to show respect. They usually liked to fool around, but when it was time for them to show the temperament of an aristocratic family, they didn't hesitate at all. They were even better than the children of the royal family. Xiao Yuan said, "In fact, we haven't done enough. True filial piety is not to be praised by others, but to be happy to laugh." The young man behind old Muramasa was confused. He didn't understand what they were saying, so he looked at third grandpa in confusion. With this comparison, old man Lu felt even more helpless. As he led everyone into the village, he whispered to his juniors, "What Xiaobei means is that we don't need to talk about official positions. If we really want to talk about official positions, they have a bunch of official positions. Even the youngest one is older than me, the village chief. I'm older, so they respect me, so I praise them for being sensible." Later, the young boy said that they don't feel happy because others praise them for being filial. What makes them happy is that they can often see the smiles of their relatives. Sigh. These kids have all turned into spirits. Who's so powerful? Who taught them to be like this? The young man said with jealousy. Why don't you ask why they're so powerful? How can they be taught by others? Old Muramasa glared at the young man. The young man lowered his head in shame and didn't dare to make a sound. Old Muramasa didn't continue to compare the young man with Xiaobei and the others. He also knew that they weren't on the same level. Instead, he instructed the young man. When we get back to the village, immediately arrange for people to lay planks on the bridge. Many children come. Everyone in Tang knows that the Zhang family and the Wang family value children very much. They will definitely bring a lot of things. The planks need to be laid, and holes need to be punched and tied to the iron chains with willow twigs. The same should be done on both sides to prevent people from slipping down. Tied. That's too troublesome. The young man could imagine the difficulty of the actual operation. Is it more troublesome than building the bridge for free and using cement for our village? That's what they do. Are we freeloaders? When it comes to willow weaving, Old Willow Village in Guo Province is the best. If we don't do it, we'll wait for them to move the construction here to lay planks. In the future, when we meet outsiders, I'll lie down and you'll sit on my head. How dare I? Why would I sit on your head? Tell others that they don't need to look at my old face. They can know what the people in Old Willow Village look like by looking at your buttocks. No, I'll go. I'll go right away. Please don't be angry. Otherwise, I won't be able to sit even if I want to. My butt will be smashed by my father with willow twigs. The young man was frightened. He ran away, leaving behind a trail of mud and disappeared from the sight of the team. Xiaobei looked at the departing figure and pondered with a finger in his mouth. After his brother Xiaohai patted his finger, he rubbed his arm and said, "The road is not easy to walk on. We have to arrange for people to build a cement road." 2 children in their teens happened to run out of the village. When they heard Xiaobei's words, they seemed to know how to build a cement road. They reminded him, it's impossible to build a cement road on a rainy day. Xiaobei's eyes turned into the shape of a crescent moon. He smiled and said, "Others can't build it with cement, but our family can. Not to mention the rain, if necessary, we can build it with a knife." "How do we fix it?" The children in the village were not convinced. "First, use a charcoal fire to roast it. Then, build a shed to shelter it from the rain. Then, fill it with cement and lay a straw curtain. Pour water on it while roasting it," Xiaobei said. The two children obviously did not expect to be so wasteful. Zhang Bei soon got the news, so she gathered the other 8 people and planned to hold a standing committee. Later, considering that the people of Old Willow Village needed to participate directly, she added a few older children of Old Willow Village. It became an expanded standing committee meeting. At the meeting, Inspector Zhang Bei emphasized the spirit of the meeting. Then she explained that under the guidance of an emperor and the care of 2 direct family leaders, the 9 people of the inspection team followed the work principle of "go where you go, get rich." It was important to give specific guidance to the willow weaving industry of Old Willow Village in Hongnong County, Guizhou. After carefully listening to the positive introduction of the willow weaving industry by the people of Old Willow Village, Inspector Zhang Bei praised the achievements of Old Willow Village's willow weaving industry and gave important instructions. She said, "We need to further carry forward the spirit of Old Willow Village in the willow weaving industry, continue to improve the corresponding support system, strictly pay attention to the relevant people's thinking, open up new ideas, carefully verify, boldly imagine, and show the spirit of not being afraid of hardship, tiredness, and hard research to improve the economic income of Old Willow Village." During the meeting, Inspector Zhang Bei emphasized the discipline of the meeting again and criticized Inspector Wang Xiaoyuan, who was also a member of the standing committee. Inspector Wang Xiaoyuan sincerely apologized and deeply realized that it was wrong to casually interrupt others and look down on the importance of guidance. Next, when Inspector Zhang Bei was about to continue to give guidance, Inspector Wang Xiaoyuan actively spoke in order to make up for the mistakes he made. In the spirit of starting from a practical point of view, he proposed specific plans. First, under the guidance of Inspector Zhang Bei's spirit of opening up the willow weaving market in Old Willow Village, he encouraged the planting of willow trees to achieve sustainable development. Second, under the guidance of Zhang Bei, he researched a new willow weaving process to reduce wastage and cost. Third, under the guidance of Zhang Bei, he established a working group to make dolls from willow and other grass seeds. He proposed that Inspector Zhang Bei be the group leader and that he would open up a market after returning to the capital. Fourth, under the guidance of Zhang Bei, he would fiercely dig into the potential consumer market of Tang's children and pay attention to publicity work. He would use the theme of growing a doll of his own to lay out advertisements. Inspector Zhang Bei expressed agreement with Inspector Wang Xiaoyuan's proposal and voted on the theme of growing a doll of his own, which was unanimously approved. After the meeting, Inspector Zhang Bei inspected the weaving factory in Old Willow Village and visited a few families in the village with advanced willow weaving technology. She kindly expressed her concern to the children who stayed at home. The Old Willow Village Standing Committee meeting was a successful meeting. It was a meeting that carried forward the past and opened the way for the future. It laid the foundation for Old Willow Village's economic development for the next few decades and was the guiding light for the development of children's toys in Tang Dynasty. In the end, the children in the village looked at Xiaobei with admiration. They couldn't understand how such a simple thing could become so complicated when it came to Zhang Xiaobei. They all sighed. Knowledgeable people were really different. Zhang Xiaobei didn't care about Xiaobei at all. However, it didn't affect their fondness for the theme of growing a doll of his own. They also admired Xiao Yuan, but they felt that when Xiao Yuan spoke, he always added that he was under the guidance of Zhang Bei or something. It was a little redundant. Xiao Yuan explained to the children in the village with an unfathomable look, "This is called wisdom and political command. If I didn't say this, I don't know when the meeting would end. What's there to be afraid of? It's fine as long as the goal is achieved. You know Yan Zheng, the original county magistrate, right? He stole Xiaobei's limelight. What happened in the end? He was set up at the county's south gate." The children in the village said in unison. For a moment, they made an expression of fear for Xiao Yuan, and Xiao Yuan's image in their hearts became even more lofty. Wang. Xiao Yuan. Xiao Bei, who was not far away, angrily called Xiao Yuan's name. His expression was ugly. "They will think it's true. I'm going to tell my brother and sister." Ah. Xiao Yuan looked at Xiao Bei in fear and quickly explained to the children in the village, "I was just joking. Yan Jing did something bad. He was caught because he asked your village to remove the wooden planks on the bridge. He ran in front of Xiao Bei and tricked us with words." Xiao Bei, who often tricked him, had better martial arts skills than him and was seen through on the spot. Therefore, it's very useful to practice tricking us. Hee, we know. We're not stupid. After dealing with Yan Jing, I can go to school again. After you help me sell the doll for money, we'll repair the road from the bridge to the school ourselves, a girl in the village who was relatively older said longingly. Since even the children knew what tricking was, the adults would definitely know. Therefore, Zhang Xiaobao didn't say a word of nonsense in the county. When he walked around the county to show his friendly image, he only said how many supplies would be delivered, how long the new Hongnong County would be built, how much it would cost, how many days it would take to repair it, and what kind of compensation would be given to the people who lost their lives. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were talking, the people nearby heard them and asked those who didn't understand. After the explanation of those who knew the industry, everyone understood that this time, the people who raised livestock would receive the most compensation. Not only would they be compensated for the number of livestock lost, but they would also be compensated for the cubs and fodder. As for the loss of the livestock during this period of time, it wouldn't be compensated because it wasn't easy to calculate. Specifically, the people who raised livestock would receive the most compensation. However, in terms of the actual loss and compensation, the people who would receive the most compensation were the farmers. Those who raised fish, shrimps, and crabs in paddy fields would be given a new breed of seedlings next year. The new seedlings would have a higher yield. Those who didn't raise livestock in paddy fields would receive less compensation, but like those who raised livestock, they would receive compensation for the cattle they didn't originally have. Those who originally had cattle would receive more cattle or newly bred horses. At the same time, regardless of whether they were planting rice or wheat, they would be given new seeds and farming tools. They would also be given the grain, oil, salt, and silk needed for next year's harvest. They would also be exempted from 1 year's rent, taxes, labor, and other miscellaneous items. The one-time compensation for craftsmen would be calculated based on the number of people in the household and the profession of the worker. The officials who delayed the high scholar examinations would be provided by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They would directly go to the capital to participate in this year's autumn examinations. All of their food and lodging would be provided by Savant's Restaurant and Joy House. Since they were delayed by a month, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already forked out a lot of money. They didn't mind if there were more people. Those who passed would be given the status of a high scholar. Those who didn't pass would be given the status of a high scholar. Those who didn't pass would be given the status of a high scholar. Those who didn't pass would be given the status of a high scholar. When Zhang Xiaobao was talking about this matter, a student stood up and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "I was delayed and affected. I didn't have time to study. How will you compensate me for not being able to pass the examinations?" Zhang Xiaobao paused and didn't say anything. Wang Wan frowned. Then what's the purpose of you passing the examinations? To be an official. To be an official in the capital and to be a local official. The student said bluntly. Oh. If you passed the examinations and became a local official, and suddenly encountered such a disaster, would you not be able to be an official because you were affected? Would you not be able to command during the disaster and rebuild after the disaster? Wang Wan asked again. The student shook his head. It's not the same. I'm a student now. I shouldn't be thinking about becoming an official after passing the examinations. Then you don't have to take the exam this year. You won't be able to get in because the exam will ask you how to be an official. Not only will it be asked in the spring and autumn exams, but it will also be asked in the high scholar exam. Wang Wan felt that this person was very interesting and laughed as she spoke. When the student saw Demon Fiend Cuckoo laugh, he didn't dare to make a sound. Compared to being an official, his life was more important. Chapter 935. After a few moments of thought, Zhang Xiaobao seriously said, You're right. I've truly been delayed. Then how about this, the students of Hongnong County, starting from now, help me out. I will give you all the tasks that officials should do. Be it the storehouse or the chow, the stratagem or the scribe, the punishment or the worker, the farmer or the farmer, the official or the proprietor. As long as you do your job well, I will give you an official position. If anyone can come up with a better post-disaster reconstruction plan or a locally improved method of trade, I will give you an official position based on your ability. If anyone can truly understand the situation of the Great Tang, come up with a reasonable development plan for the Great Tang, report it to the Imperial Court and obtain approval, I will give you a position under the Secretariat. As soon as his voice fell, it caused an uproar. The fact that he had mentioned so many officials was already shocking enough. Fortunately, given the statuses of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, it might have been possible. But now, he had even mentioned the Secretariat, and that was the Prime Minister. After the uproar, the crowd fell silent once more. Putting aside whether or not the position of Prime Minister was up to Zhang Xiaobao, they first needed to see if they had the ability to be Prime Minister. The students lowered their heads in shame. The student who had just said that he had been affected blushed. He didn't even dare to think about the Prime Minister, because he didn't even know the locations of the various provinces of the Great Tang, let alone the land, population, specialty products, agriculture, industry, and taxation. Then do you know the situation of the various places in the Great Tang? A child standing at the front of the crowd asked. Zhang Xiaobao paused. Why was there a child? Why didn't he go with Xiaobei? But he immediately put aside these thoughts and asked with a smile, What do you think? How old are you? 14. You're young. The child was very smart and clearly understood why Zhang Xiaobao had asked about his age. He then excitedly said, You must know. I heard that you're in charge of the Great Tang Bank. If you knew less, the current emperor wouldn't have held the fall imperial examination for you. That's what they all say. Zhang Xiaobao nodded in agreement. He truly did know. Not only did he know all the provinces, he also knew the written data of all the counties of the Great Tang. He even knew the specialties of certain provinces and counties or important strategic villages. Wang Wan nodded as well. She was more familiar with the terrain and the natural weather under normal circumstances. She had learned a lot about the needs of war back then, because many classic battles were inseparable from the terrain and weather. Seeing that this child was smart, Wang Wan asked casually, Who told you that? Many people, including my father, my mother, my third brother, the housekeeper, and the officials who came to visit during the festive season. Last time, during the Dragon Boat Festival, the Hall of Secretaries ordered. I'm wrong. I heard it from the common people. Perhaps the elder child was too excited, or perhaps it was because Wang Wan asked in a calm tone, as if they were chatting, but the elder child blurted out a lot of things. Halfway through, he realized and covered his mouth. He quickly covered his mouth with his hand and stamped his feet as if he was angry with himself. Seeing this action, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looked at each other and understood. She must be from a family of an official in the capital, and she was a girl. No wonder she was so small and smart. Why did a little girl like her have to dress up like a boy? Wang Wan sighed and said to the elder child, "You know so much. Now there is a difficult task for you to do. Do you have the confidence to do it well?" "Yes, what is it?" The elder child puffed out his chest and raised his head. "The yamen needs a clerk. From now on, you will come with us. When we are done, we will go back to the yamen together." Wang Wan pointed to the place beside her and signaled for him to come over. The elder child really came over. He looked excited and unknowingly enjoyed the benefits of the power in his family. Zhang Xiaobao had no time to ask about the specific identity of the little girl, so he continued to talk about the compensation. Next, he talked about the people who did not have much income and received relief. They would continue to receive relief. At the same time, he would check the actual situation of their family, whether there were patients, whether there were people in the house. Whether there were people in the house, the patients would be treated, and the labor force would be arranged to work. Finally, he had to deal with the businessmen. For the merchants, Zhang Xiaobao didn't actually compensate them with money or goods. Who asked the merchants to be so adaptable? The compensation he gave them was based on the tax receipts they had paid in the yamen and the various transaction registers to calculate the size of their properties. They were divided into several grades and provided with the corresponding 3 years of interest-free loans from the Tang Bank, and 2 years of business tax exemption. If the fixed shops were damaged, they would be repaired. If they were willing to continue to play the special role of the businessmen and help to circulate and prepare materials during the reconstruction process, they would be given the right to sell various specialties in the north of Hebei province. As for the businessmen who had previously paid less tax through various means, resulting in a lower grade of interest-free loans, which was inconsistent with their actual situation, Zhang Xiaobao did not care. Who let them evade tax? Fortunately, the businessmen were smarter than the students. Even if there was such an existence, they would not be stupid enough to mention it. Evading tax was punishable by jail. After the compensation plan was settled, the people in various industries who were no longer worried began to listen to orders and busy with the reconstruction. They did not know who would pay in the end, whether it would be Luoyang, Chang'an, or Zhang Xiaobao and Wang families. They only hoped that the reconstruction work would be completed quickly and that a new year would come. Are we really not paying? Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao returned to the yamen. They first settled down the children they had picked up and then sat in Yan Zheng's study to discuss matters. We are not paying. Since Xiao Bei said that she would pay in advance, we must use their pocket money. When we return to the capital, they will ask Li Longji for it. If Li Longji does not give it to them, then they will pay the bill themselves. Zhang Xiaobao respected the decision of his younger brothers and sisters. Wang Wan saw Zhang Xiaobao's serious look and helplessly shook her head. Then they will probably lose all their money. I don't know when they will be able to earn back the millions of strings of coins. Zhang Xiaobao also knew how much pocket money his younger brothers and sisters had. They were rewarded when they did well in their studies and gave gifts during festivals. They were also the image ambassadors of Lu Er's business group. When they made new snacks and toys at home, they felt that they could earn money. They also invested in opening a shop, wrote all kinds of children's songs, printed them into books, and sold them to families with children and those who were about to have children. They gave half of the royalties to their brothers and sisters. They even rented a space to the left of Chang An's top scholars restaurant and hired 2 chefs to specially make soft and sweet children's meals. They did not pay any less than they should, and they even took advantage of Top Scholars Restaurant's loophole. The manager of Top Scholars Restaurant would never have dreamed that a place that sold children's meals could earn so much money. He sighed in amazement at the magic of the owner. This was because the advertisement said, "Top Scholar starts with children." Just like that, Xiaobei and the others saved up less than 1.3 million strings of coins. According to the terms of the compensation, it was estimated that they would be able to empty it all in one go. When the sun set and rose, a new day had arrived. The children in Old Willow Village began to work hard under the sun after the haze passed. The plan to grow a doll that belonged to oneself had entered the production phase. Looking at the prototype of the doll being produced one by one, besides the seriousness on Xiaobei's face, there was also a hint of reluctance. Xiao Yuan and the others also buried their heads in work. Last night, they had received news from their brother and sister, allowing them to use their own pocket money to pay for it. They had also estimated the size of the expenditure and found that it was about the same as their reserves. Xiaobei carefully pressed the grass seeds into the doll, added some sawdust and rice husks, and then pressed a new layer of grass seeds. He appeared very sincere. As he pressed the seeds, he spoke to Xiao Yuan. "It's over. We've become the proletariat that brother and sister talked about. If we go back to Chang'an and ask Uncle Emperor for money he doesn't give us, we'll have to foot the bill." Xiao Yuan was also in low spirits. Money. As a child, was it easy to earn money? At the same time, he felt sullen in his heart. What do you think this is? Not only did they trick us to come here, but they also want us to pay for it. They really know how to choose people. In the entire Great Tang, there are tens of thousands of children, but we're the only ones who can afford this. How are we going to live in the future? In fact, we haven't used that money, but why do I still feel bad? Xiaobei thought for a while and found this problem. More than 1 million strings of pocket money in the bank seemed to have no effect on the 9 of them, but they just couldn't feel happy. After Xiaohai, who was in charge of the overall planning, sorted out the data, he came over and said, "Do it quickly. If we don't have enough money, we can ship this batch to the capital and sell it. The use of money for us is in the present. When we want to make our own decisions, we can take out the money. But this time, we took out too much. We don't have money now. If we run into trouble again, we can't take it out even if we want to. After we showed our autonomy once, we lost the opportunity to show our autonomy again. That's why we feel bad. In the near future, we'd better think of ways to make more money." Xiaohai's analysis made Xiaobei and the others understand. When they had money, they could be self-righteous. They didn't need to discuss with their elders, and they didn't need to care about other people's feelings. But this time, they were too self-righteous. They didn't know how long it would take for them to save up for the next time. Xiaobei was in low spirits as he was loading the grass seeds. He accidentally pricked his finger by a rice husk. He lowered his head and put his finger in his mouth, sulking. After a while, he looked up and said, "I found something." The other 8 people looked at him. "We are here to patrol Hongnong County. Because of Yan Zheng, Hongnong County suffered a disaster. He got a lot of money himself, but the people lost money. Then, why are we only responsible for giving money to the people and not raiding his house? Who else is colluding with him?" "Colluding with him," Xiao Yuan said. "You understand, don't you?" "Why?" Xiaobei was fuming. The other 8 people suddenly understood. They were here to patrol, not to distribute money. Even if they were asked to spend money, they would spend it. But the result was the same, but the purpose was different. Spending money was just spending money, while patrolling had its own way of saying it. That is to say, our rights and obligations are not proportional. We have to do something. Zhang Hu, who was relatively the oldest child, spoke up. Xiao Bei regained his spirit and said, "Yes, we have to continue arresting people. This is our right. Even if it's our brothers and sisters, they can't take it away. Even if the people we catch can't spit out a single copper coin, it's still our right. Now I feel much better. Let's arrest people." The others were also happy. They began to divide the work and arrange for the investigation and arrest. The younger children working around them only knew that they had taken out money. They did not have a concrete idea, but the older children, who were close to 12 years old, understood. They knew that the 9 children in front of them, who were younger than them, had taken out more than 1,000,000 strings of cash and spent it all on their hometown. 1,000,000 strings of cash was not a concrete idea for the children in their teens, but they knew that if they had more than 100 copper coins and it was all gone one day, they would cry to death. But from the 9 children's words, they did not care about how much money was spent, but how the money was spent. After figuring out the reason, the 1,000,000 strings of cash did not seem to be that important. The older children could not understand, but they understood that they could not be compared to the children of the Zhang family and the Wang family. When they were sad about losing some money, the others were thinking about something else. The adults of the seedling protection team also listened from the side. When they heard what their young masters were talking about, a knowing smile appeared on their faces. These were the children of the main family. No one could compare to them. They did not ask about the amount of money, but only how to use it. Xiao Bei and the others were busy arranging for people to catch the bad guys. They wanted to find a psychological balance. However, before they could take the initiative to find others, someone came to find them first. 3 people came over from the iron chain bridge that had been paved with boards. They left 3 horses on the opposite side. Obviously, they were afraid that the horses would fall off the bridge. One of the 3 people was carrying a knife. Xiao Bei and the others immediately recognized that it was a halberd, or what the Japanese called a halberd. They remembered it so clearly because their older brother had once said that in the future, many ethnic groups who might promote civilized eating with knives were still using their hands to catch food, but they did not know that they had long had knives. Therefore, they should not argue with them about food culture because they were not worthy. Therefore, Xiao Bei and the others, who were proud of their ethnic food culture, guessed the identity of the other party. There was at least one Japanese. Chapter 936. The sky was clear, the ground was muddy, and the sound of running water could be heard. The 9 people stopped their work and stared at the faces of the 3 people who came later. At this time, the 9 people were more hostile to the Japanese. After all, the Japanese had made a mess of buying and selling goods at the dock in South Hunan province. The 9 people hated that the officials of the Tang Empire could not resist the temptation and complained about the treachery of the Japanese. As for the strategy of subjugating Japan, it was not treachery, but wisdom. The Japanese with the sword on the opposite side naturally did not accidentally come here after getting lost. When he found that the 9 children were all here, his eyes lit up and then he wanted to get close. Unfortunately, this wish could not be realized for the time being. "Who are you? Stop." When the Japanese man was about 50 steps away from Zhang Xiaobei, he was stopped. In the blink of an eye, he could no longer see Zhang Xiaobei and the rest of the 9 people. The place between him and Zhang Xiaobei was occupied by the seedling protection team. The Japanese was surprised for a moment, then he straightened his chest and said, "I want to go there." "Speak to them. Speak human language." The person who stopped the Japanese frowned and sneered, "You want to see my master, so I have to make way for you." Only then did the Japanese realize that it was not so easy to see Zhang Bei and the others who were playing with a group of children just now. He had to look at the person who stopped him and explained, "I have something important to do. If it's delayed because of you, then, it's fine if it's delayed. It doesn't matter to me whether your business is important or not. What's important is whether our business is important or not. Now do you understand which is the most important?" The person who stopped him said a tongue twister, which made the Japanese swallow his saliva. I know. Shuichiro Watanabe has something important to ask to see Lord Zhang. The Japanese finally bowed his head, because he understood that if he wanted to deceive children, he had to go through the adults first. Wait. The person who stopped him still had a cold face and asked him to stand where he was. He turned around and walked slowly to Zhang Bei. "Miss Zhang Bei, the Japanese Shuichiro Watanabe wants to see you." Zhang Bei turned to look at the other 8 people, and the 8 people gave her a look of, "You can decide." "Ah, got it. I have some matters to attend to, so I'll bring him over in an hour." Go ahead." Xiao Bei put on airs. The children who were playing with them curiously looked at the Japanese. One of the older ones asked Xiao Bei, "What's bothering you?" "I'm not done with my doll yet." "Wait until I'm done with the doll in my hands. I'll see him after I change my clothes." Xiao Bei pointed at the doll she had made. "Then it's not good to let people continue to wait, right?" The child muttered softly. "Why not? Am I someone that anyone can see whenever they want to? I'm an official, a third-rank official of the imperial court. If I didn't want to know why he came here, he wouldn't see me even if I exhausted him to death. Later, I'll put on my official uniform and let you see. It's a pity that you can't wear it. Otherwise, I'll give you one." At this moment, Xiao Bei knew how to show off his identity. He even introduced himself to the others by gesturing. "Well, does it look good?" The muttering child asked longingly. "Purple, embroidered with a big flower, the kind with branches and leaves. Let me tell you a secret, in fact, I can't have flowers with branches and leaves on my clothes. That's the second-rank official's clothes. But I like it, so I asked someone to embroider one." "Who asked Uncle Emperor not to give me official robes?" "Let me tell you, you must not tell other people. Uncle Emperor is very stingy. He never gives anything to my family. Even if he does give something once, he will take it back several times. Last time, when he treated me to a meal, I ate his 4-headed abalone. The next day, he asked my brother for a pair of heavenly 9 shark fins. That big shark fin is enough for me to eat for half a month. Fortunately, my family has many ships at sea. Do you think it's easy for me?" Xiao Bei began to speak ill of Li Longji. The child nodded fiercely, expressing deep sympathy. Although she didn't know what a 4-headed abalone was, she could understand. Eating for half a month was more expensive than eating for one meal. Moreover, it was very delicious. She swallowed her saliva and gave an idea. "Next time when he asks you to eat, you don't want to go. If I don't go, he will definitely ask for it. I just remembered that we are far from the sea, so we can't eat the local products of the sea. I will ask someone to bring more and invite everyone to eat together. Let me tell you first, there are no 4-headed abalone. There are too many people. I will ask my brother later. If there is no other choice, I will ask him to make it smaller. But at least there should be 12 heads. I will leave more seaweed for you to eat and play with. It's konbu. There is also seaweed. It's cheap. My family grows it in Jili province. After the fall imperial examination, go back to Jili province with my brother. I will ask someone to bring you beautiful shells. Xiao Bei suddenly remembered that the people around her might not be able to eat such good food, so she wanted to invite everyone to try it. But she was afraid of hurting people's self-esteem, so she said that the good food was local products. The child was a little embarrassed, but she couldn't resist the temptation, so she nodded. Well, we will also invite you to eat mushrooms. It's a promise. Xiao Bei stretched out her little finger and hooked it with the other party. Compared to Xiao Bei, who had important matters to attend to, Shuichiro Watanabe felt that the days were like years. He anxiously looked at his shadow on the ground, as if it hadn't moved at all. He looked forward to the stars and the moon. Finally, an hour had passed. Just as he was about to speak, the person who had stopped him spoke first. Stand still and don't move. Search him. Shuichiro Watanabe really didn't dare to move. He let the others take away his katana and touch him from top to bottom. Finally, he opened his mouth and let them look at his teeth. It was as if they were picking animals. Reporting to Xiao Bei, the Japanese, Shuichiro Watanabe, requests an audience. After searching Shuichiro Watanabe's body, the people of the Miao protection team shouted towards Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei had already changed her clothes at this moment. She found a mat made of willow branches and leaned on it. She said indifferently, "Pass." The child next to her suddenly realized that the current Xiao Bei was different from before. Just now, she was laughing and joking like the sister or sister next door. Why did Xiao Bei look so strange now? The expression on her face was different, her voice was different, and even the posture of leaning on the mat had changed. It was as if the sticky rice cake had turned into a cold stone, making people not dare to get close to her. The other 8 people's expressions looked the same. Shuichiro Watanabe felt the pressure and carefully moved forward. When he was 10 steps away, someone next to him stopped him again. Answer here. Lower your head. Don't look around. The mat Xiao Bei was sitting on was higher. She had a sense of condescension. Her eyelids drooped, and her voice squeezed out from her throat. Who's down there? Shuichiro Watanabe wanted to curse. You little brat, didn't you hear me just now? Why are you still asking? Although he thought about it, he didn't dare to say it. He couldn't even change his expression. He lowered his head and said respectfully, I'm Shuichiro Watanabe from Japan. I have something important to discuss with you. Xiao Bei dragged out the sound with her nose. Her eyes were puzzled. She looked at the person next to her. Japan. Replying to Miss Xiao Bei, Japan is a country. Originally, people lived on islands. From Jili Prefecture, Hunan Province, or Shenandoah, you can reach there after a month. Different ships have different distances, and the time taken is slightly different. Someone next to her introduced. Shuichiro Watanabe listened below, and his lungs almost exploded. He didn't believe that Xiao Bei didn't even know Japan. She was clearly mocking him. Xiao Bei's eyelids continued to droop. Oh. A remote island country. Do you have any education? Are you knowledgeable and well-mannered? Yes, I think so. The person who introduced her just now said vaguely. Shuichiro Watanabe understood. Xiao Bei was finding fault with him, saying that he didn't show proper etiquette. He also knew that he should change his address and etiquette. After all, Japan was now a vassal country of the Tang Empire in name. When he met a Tang official, he should show proper etiquette. But Watanabe Juichiro felt awkward. It was really embarrassing for an adult like him to lower his voice in front of a child. It was not like he was facing Zhang Xiaobao. Even if he was not that old, he was an existence that was above the top-ranking list of billionaires. What did Zhang Xiaobao have to do? Wasn't it because she had a good brother and sister? After a few breaths, considering that he had something important to do, Shuichiro Watanabe finally knelt down helplessly and said, "Foreigner Shuichiro Watanabe greets the inspector." Shuichiro Watanabe. This name is not good. Fine, I'm magnanimous and don't want to pursue it. Raise your head. Xiao Bei did not have any idea of showing the demeanor of a big country. It was not easy to find a Japanese person who could be bullied by her. With the purpose of satisfying her cravings, she used her identity to suppress people. Shuichiro Watanabe regretted it in his heart. If he had known earlier, he would not have rushed to come here. Originally, he had planned to trick her and immediately go back to show off. Now, he had lost face first. Of course, if the other party was an adult, or a third-grade official of the Tang Empire, it would not be a loss of face. It was normal for status to be unequal. The problem was that the other party was a little kid. It was really frustrating. Shuichiro Watanabe, who was competing with himself, slowly raised his head. He did not dare to raise it too quickly, for fear of being misunderstood as wanting to harm Xiao Bei. When he raised his head and saw Xiao Bei, Shuichiro Watanabe took a deep breath. Shuichiro Watanabe, who had never seen Xiao Bei's 9 people, had already imagined what they looked like before. When he was far away, he had a little impression of them. At that time, he felt very normal, like the children next door, playing with other children there. However, at this moment, the other party had changed clothes. When he looked at them closely, they became different. The first was an aura of wealth and wealth. He saw the 9 children wearing purple robes with tassels hanging on the sides, gold on the boots, jade on the waists, 6 gold coins on the left, tortoiseshell on the inside, 7 jade carvings on the right, and precious pearls in the middle. The robes were dark, and there was no horizontal or vertical division. There were clusters of flowers on the robes, and the branches were crystal clear. The men were crowned with a crown, and the women were like phoenixes and birds. The jade bracelets on their wrists were as red as blood, and the neck was filled with the fragrance of agarwood. If Shuichiro Watanabe had come from the same place as Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, he would have shouted, "Fuck, so fucking rich." Fortunately, Shuichiro Watanabe was kneeling on the ground. Otherwise, he would have been smashed to the ground by the power of money on Xiao Bei's 9 people. When he took a closer look, Shuichiro Watanabe was stunned by Xiao Bei's appearance. There was a reason why people liked Xiao Bei. Shuichiro Watanabe deeply felt a kind of indescribable and endless cuteness. Xiao Bei did not use any cosmetics, even though her family's cosmetic store was popular in the Tang Empire. It was not that cosmetics were harmful to the human body. Her cosmetics were all pure natural products. It was just that she did not use cosmetics. In Shuichiro Watanabe's eyes, Xiao Bei's cheeks were as soft as water, her lips were red, her teeth were white, her nose was straight, her forehead was slightly raised, and her eyes were bright and beautiful. She was so pure. If he did not know that he would be killed on the spot if he made any other unnecessary movements, Shuichiro Watanabe really wanted to rush up, hug Xiao Bei, and kiss her. She was really too cute. If he had a daughter like her, he would definitely hide it well. God, you are so unfair. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan are already so powerful. Why did you give them such a sister? Shuichiro Watanabe cursed in his heart. He finally understood why people said that Xiao Bei's 9 children could be doted on by the Tang Emperor. It was said that any official who was caught by the 9 children would be demoted 3 ranks, regardless of whether they were really guilty or not. If they angered them, even if they were innocent, they would be demoted 3 ranks. Regardless of whether it was the Tang Emperor or himself, he would make such a decision. How could such cute children be wrong? Why didn't they find trouble with others? Why did they have to find trouble with you? When Shuichiro Watanabe thought about it, he also realized that the 9 children's clothes were not in line with the Tang Empire's official regulations. If it were someone else, they could be used as blackmail. If you don't agree to anything, I will find a way to report you, especially Xiao Bei. If you dare to wear a phoenix coronet, the lightest punishment is to lose your head. But Shuichiro Watanabe knew very well that reporting Xiao Bei's 9 children was useless. If he really tried to find a way to report it, once he reported it, the first one to be arrested would be him. For a moment, Shuichiro Watanabe's heart was filled with mixed feelings. His eyes swept over Xiao Bei's 9 children. His mouth was slightly open, and he did not know what to say. Compared to Shuichiro Watanabe's many thoughts, Willow Village and the children who were brought here did not have so many thoughts. They only felt that Xiao Bei's 9 children had changed and become more beautiful, especially the girls. Their clothes were really beautiful. Unfortunately, Xiao Bei said that they could not wear them. Chapter 937. Watanabe Juchiro, your name is too long and doesn't sound nice. I'll give you a name, Bien-e. It sounds nice and nice. While Watanabe Juchiro was looking at Xiao Bei spoke. She changed his name as soon as she opened her mouth. Her tone didn't allow anyone to refute. Before Watanabe Juchiro could agree, Xiao Bei spoke again. Bien-e, why do you want to see me? Watanabe Juchiro felt wronged. He wanted to argue that his name couldn't be changed, but he was afraid that the little girl in front of him would order someone to cut off his head in anger. It was not strange for a child to do anything. Watanabe Juchiro endured it. After all, the other party had power and influence. He thought about what he had planned before he came and said, Lord Zhang, this foreigner has a few questions. Can you tell me? Xiao Bei heard Watanabe Juchiro's words and waited for a while before speaking. Her words almost made Watanabe Juchiro vomit blood. Xiao Bei asked kindly, Bien-e, do you want to grow a doll that belongs to you? I have materials here that can be sold to you at a low price. You can take them back and sell them in Japan. I'll guarantee your wealth. You want to buy my things? Watanabe Juchiro saw that Xiao Bei didn't follow his words. He hesitated and asked, what doll? How much is it? Grow a doll that belongs to you. Others farm, we grow dolls. That's it. Someone, bring me the dolls made by the villagers of Willow Village. Xiao Bei was still sitting in a dignified manner. She waved her hand and winked at the people beside her. The people in the inner courtyard understood what to do. They walked over to one of the children in Willow Village and explained in a very gentle voice, Xiao Bei is now an official. She's putting on an act for Watanabe Juchiro. She said that you're villagers, but in fact, she's protecting you. She doesn't want Watanabe Juchiro to use you as a hostage. Xiao Bei will help you sell your dolls at a sky-high price. The child who was asked for a doll by the person from the inner courtyard nodded vigorously and handed over the doll in her hand. Only after the person from the inner courtyard left did she reveal a smile. Just now, when she heard Xiao Bei say, lowly commoner, she felt that the entire world had turned cold. Just now, she had even made a pinky promise with him. Why did it suddenly become so distant? So it was just an act for the Japanese. Xiao Bei had not changed. It was still Xiao Bei. I told you. Xiao Bei is pretending. The girl whispered to the child next to her, so the words of the inner courtyard quickly spread among the children, but Shuichiro Watanabe couldn't hear it. Watanabe Juchiro only saw Zhang Xiaobei smiling sweetly at the surrounding people, which made him feel that Zhang Xiaobei was even cuter. The 2 shallow dimples set off Zhang Xiaobei's mischievous and innocent look. One of the older children sighed and said, it's not easy to be an official, especially a good official like Xiaobei. No wonder Grandpa Muramace's attitude towards Xiaobei is different. Yes, I saw it too. Grandpa Muramasa is a high scholar. He doesn't like other officials. When Xiaobei came, Grandpa Muramasa changed. He was even willing to go to the county to help. Sister Luya, when Xiaobei came, didn't her subordinates feel uncomfortable lying on the iron chain? A boy who was slightly younger than the girl who spoke earlier, about 11 years old, asked. He actually liked Xiaobei very much and wanted to play with her. It would be even better if they could play together every day. If he could marry Xiaobei when he grew up, he would be willing to do anything. Unfortunately, he also knew that it was impossible. It was said that Xiaobei's future husband was Wang Xiaoyuan, a boy who could read 10 lines at a glance and remember everything he saw. Most importantly, he was Wang Wan's younger brother. Whoever dared to steal his wife was really tired of living. The girl who spoke earlier did not know what the boy next to her was thinking. She said, "It should be uncomfortable, but they are the Miao protection team. They are the personal guards of the Zhang family and Wang family in Sanshui County. I heard that they are the most powerful team in Tang Empire. They are Sister Cuckoo's last trump card." What is that saying again? Oh, yes, once the order is given, their hearts will be like iron. When soldiers are deployed, blood will be spilled. A few children nearby shouted in unison. This was the most popular saying among the people. Not only did the children who went to school know, even the adults could say a few words. The whole saying was, "The sea is boundless, the tide rises and falls." Cuckoo's gunboats break through the waves, forming a majestic formation. The grassland is tender in spring and snow in winter, the arrows are like shuttles, the goshawks soar, the balloons are many, covering the sky and competing with the clouds. The desert is gray, the years are hard to judge. Looking back at home, the moon in the sky, the enemies are endless, the banners are endless, and the demons are smiling. Who is in the Ming dynasty and who is in the yesterday? The green hills sound the military song. Once the order is given, their hearts will be like iron. When soldiers are deployed, blood will be spilled. Yes. The boy nodded and replied, "Someone is going to die." I heard from Sister Xiaobei that this time, 2 reinforced subway cavalry battalions were dispatched. Sister Cuckoo sent the soldiers here. It's definitely not a joke. Someone is going to die. Shuichiro Watanabe also heard the children shouting, "When soldiers are deployed, blood will be spilled." He couldn't help but tremble. He looked at the doll that Xiaobei asked someone to bring in front of him and asked carefully, "Lord Zhang, what is this thing like?" "Water." Xiaobei said these 2 words with certainty, meaning that she was not lying. "Then how much is it?" Shuichiro Watanabe could see that Xiaobei wanted to earn some pocket money. 1,000 strings of cash. Xiaobei stretched out a finger. "How much?" Shuichiro Watanabe shouted and quickly covered his mouth. He was afraid that he would scare Xiaobei, so he lowered his voice. "This thing is worth 1,000 strings of cash." Xiaobei stared at her big eyes. Wei Wei nodded. "Is it not worth it? My hand was cut when I made it." While speaking, Xiaobei showed the finger to Shuichiro Watanabe. Her small mouth twitched and her eyes were misty. It really did hurt. Shuichiro Watanabe saw Xiaobei's expression and felt a pain in his heart. He looked at the doll again and felt that 1,000 strings of cash was really not expensive. This was made by Xiaobei herself, and her hand was cut. "Then how much do you think it's worth?" Xiaobei didn't know what Shuichiro Watanabe was thinking and asked. "At least 3,000 strings of cash." Shuichiro Watanabe stretched out 3 fingers. In an instant, he felt absent-minded. It was as if his daughter had made a doll for him and cut her hand. He had an idea in his heart. Not to mention 1,000 strings of cash, if he could reach the stars, he could pick the stars and give them to his daughter. Xiao Bei didn't know how charming her appearance and expression were. When she heard Shuichiro Watanabe say 3,000 strings of cash, she smiled. "I'll sell it to you. Now I have the money for the cement for the road in the village. I originally planned to return to the capital and sell it to Uncle Emperor. Once I get the money, we'll be even." Shuichiro Watanabe stretched out his hand and took out the money. He admitted defeat. Who asked him to say 3,000 strings of cash? He could imagine the consequences if he didn't buy the doll after saying the price. He counted 6 pieces of Tang banknotes with the words, "worth 500 strings of cash," written on them and handed them to the people next to him. He held the doll tightly in his hand, thinking that he had to plant it properly when he went back. If he didn't turn the world upside down, it would be a waste of the money. The children were shocked. 3,000 strings of cash, they wouldn't be able to earn one in a lifetime. Xiao Bei was indeed Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei took the money and carefully verified it. It was real. Then she handed it to her brother Xiao Hai and asked him to keep it. She turned her head and asked Shuichiro Watanabe, "Foreigner Shuichiro Watanabe, what did you want to say to this official just now?" Shuichiro Watanabe didn't expect that Xiao Bei would become this official in the blink of an eye. The speed at which she changed her attitude was extraordinarily fast. Shuichiro Watanabe touched the money in his pocket for the activities. He suppressed the other thoughts in his heart and began to deceive the children according to his plan. "Lord Zhang." Shuichiro Watanabe took a deep breath and said, Xiao Bei's eyelids drooped again. "There is one thing that this foreigner doesn't understand. Please tell me. I heard that the regional commander Lord Zhang has always been advocating economic matters. Political matters are political matters, and military matters are military matters. However, this time, he has brought the army here. Isn't it already under the control of military and political matters?" Shuichiro Watanabe knew that Xiao Bei could understand. He wanted to see how Xiao Bei would answer so that he could continue to trick her. Xiao Bei did understand what he meant, but she didn't understand the thoughts of her brother and sister. She couldn't say it casually and leave a topic for others to talk about. She was now representing the reputation of the Tang Empire. A few children who also heard it clearly became anxious, afraid that Xiao Bei wouldn't say it. Only the 8 of them were not worried. They believed that Xiao Bei could handle it. Sure enough, Xiao Bei rolled her eyes and pretended to cough. She said, "We have always emphasized that we should do our own things and work tirelessly for it. As everyone knows, our dynasty has achieved gratifying results in economic, political, and military matters. Regarding this, our dynasty is willing to persist and consolidate." When Shuichiro Watanabe heard Xiao Bei's words, he felt very awkward. It was different from the answer he wanted to get. After thinking for a while, he asked, "But now you are not doing your own things. Why is that?" "I have already answered this question. I will repeat it again. Our dynasty has never changed its original intention of development and progress. We have never changed our coordination work in all aspects. I believe that we will do better in the future." Xiao Bei had a sincere expression. Okay. Shuichiro Watanabe gave up on this question and changed to another one, intending to sow discord. "Lord Zhang, as far as outsiders know, Xinlua, which is adjacent to the Tang Empire, is now unable to escape the control of the Tang Empire. The control I am talking about is not the control of the Tang Empire, but the people's livelihood. The Tang Empire has taken over Xinluo's land and planted by DZ. Xinluo has no food. As long as the Tang Empire stops eating, Xinluo will be full of hungry people. Does this go against the original intention of your cooperation with Xinluo, or was the Tang Empire's original plan? After Shuichiro Watanabe finished asking, his eyes were fixed on Xiaobei. He didn't believe that a little brat could not make a mistake. Xiaobei's eyes moved left and right. She was trying hard to recall the words of her brother and sister when they were arguing. Her brother liked to pretend to be righteous when he was cheating others, and her sister always laughed. The passage of time seemed to have suddenly slowed down. Xiaobei thought for more than 10 breaths, but it gave people the feeling that more than an hour had passed. Finally, Xiaobei's gaze landed on Shuichiro Watanabe again. Her small hands retracted into her sleeves and clenched into fists. She encouraged herself in her heart. The smart Xiaobei can do better. Xiaobei is a third-rank official. I can go to Hanyuan Palace to participate in the court session. I can't embarrass the Tang Empire. After hinting to herself, Xiaobei's eyes were filled with confidence. She coughed again and said to Shuichiro Watanabe, the Tang Empire and Xinluo have a close relationship. They are harmonious neighbors. The people of the Tang Empire are great people, and the people of Xinluo are great people. The two great countries with great people have always lived in harmony. In recent years, the Tang Empire and Xinluo have carried out more cooperation projects and achieved gratifying results. The two countries help and promote each other. They have worked together many times in the fields of economy, military, politics, and so on. The friendship between the people of the two countries has also strengthened through cooperation. We have to believe that with the concerted efforts of the people of the two countries and the royal family, the future will be better. A new chapter is being written. As soon as Xiaobei said this, everyone was shocked. The 8 people of Xiaoyuan had an expression of, I knew Xiaobei could do it. The inner courtyard of the Zhang family and Wang family puffed up their chests even more. The other children's eyes were filled with stars. Shuichiro Watanabe was stunned. In the past, people said that the children of the Zhang family and Wang family were powerful, but he didn't believe it. At this moment, he was completely convinced. Who taught such a monster? Compared to this little girl in front of him, the other children should jump into the river. Shuichiro, are there any other questions? Xiaobei, who had one, asked happily. Shuichiro Watanabe shook his head helplessly, indicating that there were no more questions. If Xiaobei's answer was not good, he would continue to ask. But now he saw that it was useless to ask. Xiaobei had mastered the legendary essence of diplomatic speech. There were probably not many people in the Tang Empire who could compare to her. After all, everyone was not used to speaking like this. For a moment, Shuichiro Watanabe looked at Xiaobei in a daze. Why was this girl so likable? She was really cute, smart, and witty. In a daze, Shuichiro Watanabe was about to get up and hug Xiaobei and kiss her. Just as he moved, he heard a shout, "Don't move. If you move again, you'll die." Shuichiro Watanabe suddenly woke up and looked around. The people of the protection team were all vigilant. Only the 2 people standing next to Xiaobei gave him a relaxed feeling. However, it was these 2 people who gave Watanabe Jichiro the most pressure. He was 10 steps away from Zhang Xiaobei. He was confident that when he did something unfavorable to Zhang Xiaobei, the people behind him and on his left and right could not stop him. 10 steps was too close for him, so close that it would not even take a breath of time. But for some reason, the 2 people standing next to Xiaobei gave him a feeling that if he dared to move, he would die immediately. Suppressing the impulse, Shuichiro Watanabe narrowed his eyes and looked at the 2 people next to Xiaobei. Finally, he found something different. The two people wore thick leather gloves on their left hands. Others had long guns and two short guns, but these two people only had one short gun. Others put their short guns on their waists, but these two people put their guns in the holsters on their legs. The other people's guns gave people a feeling of smoothness, but these two people's guns had half a circle on both sides. What does it mean? Shuichiro Watanabe thought to himself. Xiaobei, who was sitting on top, did not care about Shuichiro Watanabe's actions at all. She seemed very indifferent. She knew that Shuichiro Watanabe could not hurt her at all. The distance of 10 steps, and the two people next to her, was like the distance between heaven and earth. It was a gap that life could not cross. Seeing Shuichiro Watanabe in a daze, Weiwei smiled and said, "Let the outsider see." Xiao Yuan took out a coin with the word Wu on it, representing 5 coins. She flicked her finger. Ding! The coin flipped and flew up into the sky with a long sound. Shuichiro Watanabe understood that the other party was going to use a gun to hit the coin. He immediately looked at the coin in the sky from the corner of his eyes while staring at the gun on the leg of the person who took a step to the left of Xiaobei. When the coin reflected the sunlight and fell, only a banged sound was heard. The coin disappeared from Shuichiro Watanabe's eyes. His eyes widened and stared at the gun on the leg of the person, unable to hide his shock. After a while, Shuichiro Watanabe reacted and asked loudly in disbelief, "How did you fire the gun?" If the coin in the sky had not disappeared, and if it had not been for the wisp of smoke floating up from the leg of the person, he would have thought that the other party had not moved at all. "You don't have to worry about that." Xiaobei smiled beautifully. Xiao Yuan's 8 children also looked mysterious. Only they knew the abilities of these two people. They were the last step that their brother and sister had sent to protect them. The two of them were using handmade revolvers. Only after forging thousands of revolvers could one be chosen, and the two of them were 1 in a million. Their brother and sister said that the reaction time of the two people was estimated to be 0.1 second. This was the time to react when something happened. Then, they would fire the gun and use their hands to push the firing pin. This speed was a little faster than their brother and sister's own speed, so it was estimated to be 0.3 second. Because their sister said that their brother's speed was 0.4 second, and hers was 0.5 second. In other words, the fastest speed was from the time the two people discovered danger and chose to fire the gun without pressure. The total time to fire the gun and retract the gun was 0.13 second. The so-called no pressure meant that they did not have to consider whether the person they were shooting was really going to harm the person they were protecting, nor did they have to consider the identity of the person they were shooting. In the middle of this, the second judgment time was omitted, and this time was very precious. It was usually 0.3 to 0.4 second. So there was no need to be afraid of Shuichiro Watanabe's sudden attack. The distance of 10 steps was more than 10 meters. Even if they kneeled on the ground and started to squat at the fastest speed, and ran another 10 meters, it would be completed in 1 second. Such a long time was enough for the two people to make a second judgment. How could Shuichiro Watanabe know so much scientific basis? He only knew that he could not see clearly how the other person fired the gun. There seemed to be a flash of light, but it did not seem to be. How could it be? After showing off, Xiaobei happily said to Shuichiro Watanabe, "If there's nothing else, you can leave." "Leave? I can't leave. If I leave, wouldn't I have come here for nothing?" Shuichiro Watanabe thought and obediently knelt. He really did not want to see smoke rise around the person and die. After kneeling again, Shuichiro Watanabe found that his knee did not seem to hurt as much. It was very magical. Lord Zhang, this foreigner has one more thing to say. Shuichiro Watanabe somewhat understood the grievance of the Tubo people when they were killed by Wang Wan. Quickly say it. Xiao Bei, who had relaxed, took out a big hazelnut that was fried with sugar and put it in her mouth with a kachif sound. After spitting out the shell, she ate it happily. Watanabe Juchiro saw that Zhang Xiaobei was enjoying the food and swallowed his saliva. He knew that the food that Zhang Xiaobei and the other children ate was not ordinary, especially snacks. It was very likely that even the emperor of the Tang Empire could not eat what they ate. Shuichiro Watanabe gently shook his head and threw away this irrelevant thought. He decided to do something practical. Lord Zhang, in fact, it is nothing more than money. As long as you can let go of the cargo ships in the coastal Japan, I will give you this amount. Shuichiro Watanabe raised a finger. It was the index finger, not the middle finger. Otherwise, Xiao Bei would take out her small pistol and shoot him personally. It was not powerful, but a few shots could kill him. When Xiao Bei saw Shuichiro Watanabe's finger, she could no longer calm down. Her breathing became rapid and her face was slightly red. She rubbed her hands together and said shyly, "Really? If you give me 100 million strings of cash, I will find a way to help you persuade my brother and sister not to trouble you Japanese. But our officials still need to be dealt with. Xiao Yuan, what do you say?" Xiao Yuan could not continue to remain calm. She did not want to change her original intention because of money, but she was reluctant to part with the money. It was very difficult. In the end, she gritted her teeth and said, "Once you get 100 million strings of cash, I will help you talk to them. I guarantee that there will be no problem. Your Japanese lives and goods will not be taken away." Shuichiro Watanabe was already confused when Xiao Bei said 100 million strings of cash. When he heard Xiao Yuan's words, he wanted to tell the other party that if you give me 100 million strings of cash, I will give up both the goods and my life. It's not 100 million strings of cash. Then how much? 10 million strings of cash. Okay, 10 million strings of cash it is. I can promise not to capture your people and goods. At least, if I don't do anything, your people will be safe. Xiao Bei was a little disappointed. After some calculations, 10 million strings of cash was 10 billion pennies. This amount was still acceptable, so she reluctantly accepted it. It's not 10 million strings of cash either. Shuichiro Watanabe's voice was very low. Say it. How much? Xiao Bei was impatient. 10% of the shares. 10%. How much did you make last year? Xiao Bei asked. 3 million strings of cash. There's copper, sulfur, silver, and a large number of very precious marine products. In fact, we basically sell all of Japan's goods. Shuichiro Watanabe reported the amount of money. Xiao Bei's expression turned uglier as she listened to Shuichiro Watanabe's words. Although she looked very cute no matter what expression she had, her anger was still clear. By the time Shuichiro Watanabe finished speaking, Xiao Bei's face had already turned as cold as ice. Her beautiful face became more dignified, and her large eyes didn't blink. Her long eyelashes curled up as she stared at Shuichiro Watanabe. It wasn't until Shuichiro Watanabe felt guilty that Xiao Bei slapped the armrest of the chair and angrily asked, "That is to say, in terms of gross profit, the most you'll give us is only 300,000 strings of cash, right? 300,000 strings of cash is quite a lot. How much does my Japan's annual revenue amount? And this is because the Tang Empire is rich. In the past, my Japan wouldn't even receive 3 million strings of cash in a year." Shuichiro Watanabe defended himself. Xiao Bei forcefully pursed her lips. "You're insulting us. You're insulting us." Do you know how much pocket money we took out for Hongnong County this time? More than 3 million strings of cash. Fixing roads, fixing river banks, compensating people for their losses, building shops, and everything else doesn't cost money. You're using 300,000 strings of cash to send beggars away. We trusted you so much. We said we'd help you keep the inventory and people. You used this little bit of money to insult us and hurt our young hearts. Shuichiro Watanabe listened to Xiaobei's words and thought about the meaning behind them. Once again, he regretted it. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have come no matter what. Just like what others said, the Zhang family and the Wang family couldn't be bribed. Shuichiro Watanabe was already full of admiration for Li Longji. The grand sage understood. No wonder he made the 9 children into high-ranking officials and patrolled the Tang Empire. It wasn't just because the 9 children were monstrously smart. More importantly, he wasn't afraid of others using threats and bribes to deal with the 9 children. Looking at the equipment of the seedling protection team and the special shooting speed of the 2 people, anyone who dared to threaten them would be courting death. Then listen to Xiaobei's words. Just his pocket money alone could take out 3 million strings of cash. 300,000 strings of cash was an insult to him. Who wouldn't be afraid of the places they patrolled? The amount of money the officials took was not even enough to bribe the 9 children. Chapter 938. Japanese, Watanabe Juchiro, tried to bribe this official. Men, arrest him. While Watanabe Juchiro was thinking about this, Xiaobei, who felt greatly insulted, gave the order to arrest him. Xiaobei was furious. He had thought that it was 100 million strings of cash, but his family couldn't take out 100 million strings of cash. There were only 3 ways to raise it. One was to sell all his family properties, which would give him more than 300 million strings of cash. But that was impossible. What about the military? What about the laboratory? What about the industrial chains in various places? What about his family's house and jewels? The second method was for his brother to use his identity to raise money from all the merchants of the Great Tang. He believed that with his brother's call, let alone 100 million strings of cash, he would be able to raise 1 billion strings of cash. The Great Tang was no longer the same as before, and its productivity was more developed. The third method was for his brother to use the Great Tang Bank. There was a lot of money there, but was that possible? His brother wouldn't touch the Great Tang Bank's money. The Great Tang Bank's loans and investments were all for Uncle Emperor to earn. Other than these 3 methods, even the Great Tang's treasury couldn't take out 100 million strings of cash. Although his family's policies and productivity reforms had made the treasury's income exceed 100 million strings of cash, the treasury's money had to be spent. His brother and sister had even discussed this matter. In any case, he didn't really understand. He only knew that his brother wanted to spend a lot of money on infrastructure, but his sister didn't agree. She said that they couldn't adopt a deficit economic strategy because their productivity wasn't advanced enough and they didn't plunder enough money. In any case, 100 million strings of cash was a lot. This Watanabe Juchiro had made him happy for nothing. Even 10 million strings of cash would have been fine. He actually dared to lie and say that 10% of the shares would only earn him 300,000 strings of cash a year. He was clearly scolding him, bullying him because he hadn't seen 300,000 strings of cash before. It was too infuriating. It wasn't right to play with children. It was a crime to bully children. Of course, Xiaobei would never admit that the biggest reason for his anger was that his attitude when he thought it was 100 million strings of cash had been a little embarrassing. In the end, not only did he lose his face, he also lost his money. Watanabe Juichiro didn't know that the high and mighty child in front of him had such thoughts. Seeing Xiao Bei turn hostile and arrest him, he immediately panicked. If he was arrested again, what would happen to the goods at the port? That was the hope of the country this year. You can't arrest me. You can't arrest me. I didn't say 100 million strings of cash. It's what you think. Why don't you think about it? Where can I get 100 million strings of cash from in Japan? I can't even take out 10 million strings of cash. Shuichiro Watanabe didn't dare to resist and could only shout. How dare you ask us to bribe you without 10 million strings of cash? What do you take us for? Push him down and behead him. Stay away from him. Don't let me see any blood. Xiao Bei became even angrier when he heard Shuichiro Watanabe mention the previous incident again. Watanabe Juichiro was escorted to the riverside. He didn't want to die in such a cowardly way, so he had to use his last trick. Ha ha ha. He threw his head back and laughed 3 times. When Xiao Bei heard the laughter, he felt that the scene was a little familiar. He turned his head and asked Xiao Yuan, I feel that it's a little familiar. I seem to have seen it somewhere before. In the stories, the spring and autumn period, the warring states period, and the 3 kingdoms period that Big Sister told us about all had such situations. When the envoys were beheaded, they would laugh loudly and survive. Some of them even achieved their goals. As for those who didn't survive, Big Sister said that the stories didn't include them. Xiao Yuan originally wanted to tell all the stories, but when she saw that Shuichiro Watanabe was about to be killed, she was afraid that there wasn't enough time, so she could only make it short. Xiao Bei blinked and thought of a plot. Thus, he hurriedly shouted at Shuichiro Watanabe, who was being escorted dozens of steps away, "Why are you laughing?" After shouting, he compared the plot of the stories and felt that there was a discrepancy. He ordered, "Men, bring Shuichiro Watanabe back. I have something to ask him." Just like that, Shuichiro Watanabe returned. "Shuichiro, I ask you, why are you laughing?" Xiao Bei blinked and stared at Shuichiro Watanabe. There was a hint of expectation in his expression. Shuichiro Watanabe originally thought that he was going to die, but he didn't expect to be brought back. He felt that his plan had succeeded. He didn't know that if his answer was different from what Xiao Bei heard in the story, Xiao Bei would be very disappointed and might even kill him. Yes, children's thoughts were often so strange. You couldn't reason with them. This was also why the officials of the Tang Empire were so afraid of Xiao Bei. Although Shuichiro Watanabe couldn't guess why Xiao Bei put him in the story, he also knew that this was his last chance. He hoped that Xiao Bei could be as smart as when he said the legendary diplomatic words before and be able to understand his words. In order to live, Shuichiro Watanabe summoned his courage and looked up fearlessly at Xiao Bei. What he saw was Xiao Bei's expectant gaze. He didn't know that Xiao Bei expected him to follow the plot of the story. If he knew, he might rather hold his breath and suffocate himself to death. After all, it was very sad to associate life and death with the story. As for Wei, Shu, and Wu, in the end, that kid's surname Sima succeeded. It became the West Jin dynasty and the East Jin dynasty. This is another story. Xiao Bei counted with his fingers and told Shuichiro Watanabe. Shuichiro Watanabe shook his head. Xiao Bei was very regretful. You really haven't heard of it. It's the rolling Yangtze River flowing to the east, the waves washing away the heroes. The mountains are still there, and the sunset is still red. So many things in the past and present are all jokes. Sister told us about the 3 Kingdoms period. It's very interesting. I'll find someone to organize it and print it into a book. I'll sell it to you at a cheap price, okay? Xiaobei told Shuichiro Watanabe the part where Hanzei was almost killed by Cao Cao, the part where Lu Bu wanted to kill Chen Deng, the plot of Sun Quan and Deng Ji, and so on. Watanabe Juichiro listened to Xiaobei tell him about laughing from one storyline to another. He finally understood why he was still alive. Xiaobei had placed him in the story and was playing with him. Shuichiro Watanabe was angry and shocked. He was angry that Xiaobei and the others treated him as a toy. He was shocked that Xiaobei could remember so many things and selectively pick out the plot of such a long story. The so-called romance of the Three Kingdoms story couldn't be done without great wisdom and courage. I see. Zhang Xiaobei's 9 children usually learn these things. No wonder they're so good. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao are really good. In order to let their younger siblings learn more knowledge, they actually made history into stories to teach. How much effort did they put in? It can't be blamed that the adults of the 2 families let Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan take care of the 9 children. The things they teach are really different. Compared to the children of the Tang dynasty and the emperor of the Tang dynasty, what Xiaobei and the other 9 children taught can be 1 in 10. Who can teach like Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan? However, Wang Wan usually had to teach military lessons to the generals of the Tang dynasty, adjust the deployment of the Tang dynasty's army, and help Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao didn't need to be mentioned. He was in charge of a large area in the northern part of Hebei province, his family's business, the operation of the Tang Bank, and the application of technology. Where did they get the time to make up stories? If it were an ordinary person, they would have been exhausted to death. Could it be that the legends were true? The 2 of them were extraordinary and divine. Immortal. I heard that Zhang Xiaobao still had time to play cards and cook. The most important thing was that he was still scheming against Xinlua in Japan, where he was. According to the current situation, the 2 of them are planning to train Xiaobei's 9 children in the same way as them. If that's the case, how can others live? Watanabe Juichiro thought about it. The fact that he had just survived made him feel no longer happy. With Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, when could Japan turn over? At this time, Xiaobei had already recovered from the excitement of telling stories. Seeing that Watanabe Juichiro lowered his head and didn't say anything, he said, "Well, Juichiro, you can go. Go back quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me if you are caught again." Shuichiro Watanabe followed Xiaobei's words and replied, "Oh." He turned around and was about to leave when he suddenly stopped and turned his head unwillingly. He said to Xiaobei, "I have one more thing. I wonder if Master Zhang can let me say it." "If anyone dares to stare at us, we'll confiscate their property and exterminate their family." Xiaobei followed his words and waved his hand. Watanabe Juichiro heard the sound of a gunshot, and 4 bullet holes appeared under his feet. Looking at the 2 people beside Zhang Xiaobei who were using special guns, Watanabe Juichiro understood that the 2 of them had each fired 2 shots. Because they were too fast and fired at the same time, he only heard 1 gunshot. Watanabe Juichiro was startled. He took 2 deep breaths and calmed down. He wasn't afraid that Zhang Xiaobei would kill him. Zhang Xiaobei had already said to let him go, so he thought that Zhang Xiaobei wouldn't go back on his word. He was surprised by Zhang Xiaobei's intelligence. She immediately understood what he was going to say. He was just about to threaten the inner courtyard of the Zhang family and Wang family, and she said that it was the village. And the truth was so. Didn't the Zhang family and Wang family dispatch their elites for a village? It turned out that at that time, the Zhang family and Wang family thought about what might happen today. They told the world not to use their family servants to open a gap. Bien ichi. Xiao Bei decided to go all out. Bien ichi, do you want to touch my family's people? You can try and see if my sister's words count. What words? Watanabe Juchiro was still thinking about the village. If you kill one of my people, I'll slaughter your village. Xiao Yuan said from the side. Suddenly, Watanabe Juchiro remembered what Wang Wan said when she was killing in Tubo. Blood flowed like rivers and corpses were piled up like mountains. In that battle, all the countries around the Tang Empire were afraid. She asked if they dared, and all the men bowed their heads in fear. Even if Watanabe Juchiro was afraid, he didn't want to admit it. He argued, then what if your people are in Japan? Now there are already people in Japan, and they are the family of the guilty official. He didn't care about his dirty clothes and said to Xiao Bei, Lord Zhang, I still have something to do. We'll meet again in the future. Okay, we'll meet again. Next time, bring enough money. I'll sell you something more fun. I'll give you a 20% discount. Xiao Bei waved his hand. Shuichiro Watanabe left with the doll he bought for 3,000 strings of cash. The only other thing he gained was that he knew that he had to pay attention to the 9 children of the Zhang family and Wang family. He's leaving just like that. The children in the village looked at Shuichiro Watanabe across the bridge and asked Xiao Bei. I can't treat him to a meal. I'm afraid he won't be willing to pay for it. Wait a minute, I'll change my clothes. Xiao Bei said to the children in the village. He asked someone to set up a temporary shed and went in to change his clothes. No one knew what happy things he thought of, but he giggled from time to time. He seemed to be very happy. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in Hongnong County didn't know what happened in Old Willow Village. They didn't receive the news that Xiao Bei sold a doll for 3,000 strings of cash. The two of them were still dealing with the mess that the Japanese had created this time. The entire Hunan province was under military control. The officials involved were arrested one after another. Some of the officials didn't know what was going on when they were arrested because they didn't receive timely information. Information was constantly being gathered in Hongnong County. There were endless cases of embezzlement. Fortunately, there was no one as bold as Yan Jing who dared to destroy the embankment. This was a consolation. From top to bottom, they're rotten to the core. Even after so many layers of relationships, we still can't find a clean one. Only now do I realize that Li Longji is a good person. He's willing to be ruthless. He's not afraid of causing a negative impact, and he's not afraid of making a big deal out of it. At the very least, he's willing to admit his guilt. He's never shirked his responsibility. He's not the kind of person who feigns ignorance and acts innocent. He's also not the kind of person who spouts empty words to deceive his own people. Zhang Xiaobao was speaking smoothly when he was interrupted by Wang Wan. Okay, stop insinuating. Even if you don't like it, you can't control that time and space. You made Li Longji sound like a flower. Is it that exaggerated? I didn't see how ruthless he was. How is he not ruthless? If he wasn't ruthless, he would have sent our Xiao Bei here. If we didn't come, Xiao Bei would have killed her way to the seaside. If she had a boat, it wouldn't be strange for her to kill her way to Japan. Anyway, she doesn't lack people to command. With Xiao Bei's personality, she doesn't care how big the situation is. She will kill anyone who dares to stop her. Speaking of his sister, Zhang Xiaobao's mood became cheerful. Wang Wan's lips also curled up. Of the 9 children, only Xiao Bei could make a fuss. With her brother and sister behind her, there was nothing she didn't dare to do. What about the Japanese? Do we arrest them too? Wang Wan suddenly asked. There is no reason to arrest the Japanese, unless there is evidence to prove that the Japanese knew that their actions would cause great losses to our Tang Empire. However, I don't think they will admit to it. At the same time, our Tang Empire didn't explicitly state that the Japanese were wrong. They just wanted to sell futures and buy futures warrants. Yes, it's not mature and perfect. They didn't force Yan Jing to destroy the dikes or force the other officials to keep all kinds of money. Zhang Xiaobao was very distressed. He didn't want to directly accuse the Japanese of some groundless crime, and he didn't want to accuse them of criticizing him. That would make him appear too incompetent. This time, he had used the army and official positions because it involved the officials of the Tang Empire. If there were no officials involved, he wouldn't even use the army and official positions. Wasn't it just a flawed futures and warrants? He couldn't deal with them. Wang Wan also understood Zhang Xiaobao's thoughts. She advised, "Are you troubled? Why don't we stop and let someone else arrest them and accuse them? Speaking of which, I really admire the Japanese for coming up with such an idea. Do you think we can set up futures in the Tang Empire?" Absolutely not. With the current production technology and communication technology, if we really manage to produce futures, I don't have to do anything else other than collect information every day to see who is maliciously speculating and who is a farmer who has wheat soaked in the rain. Then, due to the lack of information in the process of hedging against losses in futures, I won't be able to make the delivery in time or increase the cost or be pressured into selling short. Then what should I do? Just watch and do nothing. If they really know, I really can't do anything. I'm just afraid that they don't know much. If I teach them, they won't be able to learn and they will be used by others. Then, the stocks will appear again. Well, at that time, I began to constantly improve the system and constantly compete with the smart people. Then, tell me, if I saw a big cake in front of me, and others were looking for delicious cream in it, would I personally take a bite? Even though Zhang Xiaobao often used this to make money, he also had a headache because it was impossible to have a perfect system. He didn't think that the people of Great Tang were stupid. It was just that he had gathered the wisdom of many people. Zhang Xiaobao also knew that it wasn't the Japanese who thought of this idea. In fact, many businessmen in Great Tang also knew that they could set up futures to cheat money. They were afraid that Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't allow it, so they didn't do so. Uncle Emperor is actually very easy to talk to. All the officials that the 9 of us arrested have all been heavily sentenced. We can't embarrass Uncle Emperor in front of so many officials in the court, right? Bebe still didn't understand the cruelty of the struggle in the court. None of the officials in the court would do anything to her. First of all, they didn't dare. It was easy to bully children. No matter how smart Bebe was, when they thought of the consequences of bullying Bebe's 9 children, all the officials would remain silent. The officials believed that whoever bullied Bebe and the others would definitely face the overwhelming attacks of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. First, the benefits would be withdrawn. Then, there would be people gathering comprehensive evidence. It would definitely be a situation where they wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. Second, of course, it was a crime to bully such cute children. If one thought that they were capable, then they could directly deal with Zhang Zhong, Zhang Xiaobao, and Wang Wan. In the end, they vented their anger on the children and made Bebe speechless. No one would think that they were capable. Even the emperor would look at them differently. The consequences would be very serious. Chapter 940. The children tried hard to imagine the awe-inspiring scene of Xiao Bei and the others in the imperial court, but they could not think of it. The most direct impression was when Xiao Bei faced Shuichiro Watanabe. At that moment, Xiao Bei was definitely not the same person as the Xiao Bei in front of them now. When the girl who was holding the doll thought of Xiao Bei's dignified, noble, and official prestige, she felt uncertain. She asked Xiao Bei timidly, "Xiao Bei, are we friends?" "No. We're not friends." Xiao Bei shook her head. "We're sisters." "You can't do it, Enlu." "I can't do it. Let's work together. I am in charge of the official matters. Lu depends on you." Xiao Bei and the others had always been educated like this. There would not be any mistakes. Of course, Xiao Bei would not be perfunctory. For example, Zhang Chang was the son of a mountain villager in Luzhou, and he adopted him. There were also Zhang Gang and Zhang Fang from Wing Province, as well as Danan and Xiaonan. The 5 children, no matter what their original intentions were, at least did not have any prejudice. They ate and dressed the same, and received the same education. The Zhang and Wang families treated them equally. Even if they made a mistake and got beaten up, they would only slap Xiao Bei twice. They would not be slapped once, and they would still have to suffer 2 slaps. Of course, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had never hit their younger siblings. It was not that they did not know how, but they did not care. Zhang Xiaobao always believed that if the children were disobedient, it was the adults who were not capable. Parents with low self-esteem would only beat their children. A child was a clean piece of white paper. If they wrote wrong or drew crooked, should they blame the paper? Therefore, Xiao Bei, who had received such an education, was not lying. Naturally, she was this sincere. The little girl who asked the question had not received the corresponding education. For a moment, she was touched. She bit her lip and nodded vigorously. "I'll definitely do a good job." "Xiao Bei, let me ask you. During the morning court, are there so many high-ranking officials sitting on very beautiful chairs? Is it not easy for the county magistrate to get there?" Xiao Bei was stunned for a moment and shook her head. "No, the county magistrate can't get in at all. Only grade 5 officials can enter the court, let alone the chairs. Even if they stand outside, the row on the right is mostly military officials. The row on the left is mostly civil officials. There are also some who are not military officials. Have you seen the steps? They just stood at the bottom of the stairs. When they reached the bottom where there were no stairs, they were all rank 5 officials. When it was raining or snowing, the officials in front of them who were rank 3 and above still had a canopy or umbrella. They should thank my older brother and older sister. My older brother and older sister set up a heater under Hanyuan Palace Hall, otherwise, they would freeze to death in the winter. In the past, when the weather was warm, Uncle Emperor would be outside. When the weather was cold, he would be inside the hall with a heater. As for Uncle Emperor and them, there was always the Jinwu guards between them and him. Now, the Emperor and Uncle are all outside, sitting on big, wide, thick chairs. My family made them for us. There are many people, so we have to do this. When there are not many people, we can go to Xingqing Palace. I don't go to Hanyuan Palace Hall often. I'm afraid that my father will beat me, saying that I'm always causing trouble. I also don't go to Xingqing Palace Hall often. It's not fun there. The place I go the most is Hibiscus Garden. When it's open to the public, there's a lot of people. The surrounding children blinked their big eyes and listened attentively. They had never been to the capital, let alone participate in morning court. Usually, no one would tell them. Now that they were listening to Xiao Bei speak, they naturally had to be more careful. At least Xiao Bei wouldn't lie. Then what does the current emperor eat? Is it the dragon meat from the sky? A child asked. What? I don't even know what a dragon looks like. The food, how should I put it? How about this, I'll get someone to arrange and mix some ingredients. Let's taste it together. It's just that. The food is good, but there's not much. Especially when my brother cooks, Uncle Emperor eats whatever my brother cooks. Xiao Bei tried hard to recall the food he ate and found that it was not as good as what he ate at home. But in order to satisfy others, he had to think of ways to mix ingredients to cook. Little sister Xiao Bei, where do you stand when you go to court? And your brother and sister? Me? I don't stand. I sit in Uncle Emperor's arms, and I usually turn my head. Why? I'm afraid of seeing my father. My father will glare at me when he sees me, so I can only go down and let my father hug me. Hugging is not as comfortable as sitting, right? Xiao Bei said. The other officials don't object. Who dares? I deliberately made a few mistakes, hoping that the censorate will impeach me. Did they impeach you? No, if I didn't impeach them, they would be burning incense. A bunch of cowards. Then why? Because I dared to stand in front of the civil and military officials in Hanyuan Palace Hall and pat my chest and say, I, Zhang Xiaobei, did not take a single copper coin from the common people. I, Xiaobei, will not compromise with any corrupt officials. I have never done anything to harm the common people. My loyalty is as clear as the sun and the moon. But they did not dare to say the same thing as me. It's that simple. Xiao Bei proudly puffed out his chest. Xiao Yuan echoed from the side, yes, yes, elder sister said before, the officials do not fear my strictness, but fear my honesty, the common people do not fear my ability, but obey my righteousness. The children had never heard of it before, but they could understand. They nodded one by one. One of them praised, Elder Sister Cuckoo is really amazing. What she said is so right. Xiao Bei shook his head, but after Elder Sister said it, Elder Brother said, I would rather have an official who can raise the standard of living of the common people by 10 times, and who is corrupt by 2 or 3 times, than an honest official who makes the common people live a hard life and who also cannot live a happy life. Elder Brother said, I don't hope for the officials to think that I am honest, I only hope that the officials will provide food and warmth to the common people. I don't ask for the common people to obey my righteousness, but to cover the children in the cold winter with duck feathers, to ruin my 1,000 years of reputation, to build prosperity for thousands of years. In the storm of abuse, my heart is calm. The children were at a loss for a moment. Io, look at this shaking, this old man's bones are about to fall apart. Just as the children were listening to the story, an old man's shout came from the suspension bridge. Xiao Bei turned his head to look and was suddenly stunned. The old man on the bridge did not seem to have any intention of shutting up. He continued to complain. It is said that the Xingjing construction group of the Zhang family and Wang family make things with iron bones. Could it be that today's broken bridge also has iron bones? Io, this is shaking me so badly. When the children heard someone complain that the Xingjing construction group's products were not good, they immediately became angry and glared at the old man. They did not care if the old man had many people protecting him or why he was not stopped by the seedling protection team, but they could not speak ill of the Xingjing construction group. Grandpa Bai, why are you here? Ha! Xiao Bei opened his arms and ran towards the old man. Xiao Yuan and the rest followed closely behind. Let Grandpa report. So heavy. I'm old, I can't carry you. The person who had just crossed the bridge was Bai Go. He should have died long ago, but because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came, he was still alive and well. He carried Xiao Bei up and weighed him, then put him on the ground. He supported his waist with both hands and said, Old. Even so, Bai Go carried the other 8 children one by one and patted Xiaohai's head. Where are your elder brother and sister? They are dealing with people in the county, Xiaohai replied. Grandpa Bai, why are you here? Xiao Bei grabbed Bai Go's hand and looked up to ask. Bai Go waved at the guards behind him and asked them to stay away so as not to scare the children. He then smiled and said, I came to find your brother to fish. The fish between the clouds and the water are too stupid. It's not fun to fish. I heard that there is a lot of water here, so there should be a lot of fish. The Hongnong River was man-made. That guy Yanjing dared to destroy the dam. He made me so angry. Xiao Bei pouted and muttered. Oh, that's right. When I return to the capital, I will also impeach him. I heard that there are people from the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family here, so I came over. You are here for... Bai Go thought that Zhang Xiaobao was here, but he met Xiao Bei and the rest. The county is going to be rebuilt. The children are in the way, so I brought them here to hide. Xiao Bei looked proud. Bai Go pondered. He had not seen the situation in Hongnong County with his own eyes. Before he came, he had only heard about it from others. He could not make an accurate judgment, so he asked, Xiao Bei, tell me, are there many damaged houses in the county? Xiao Bei shook her head, not many. They could change to another place to discuss business. It would not affect the flow of agricultural products. Xiao Bei, tell Grandpa. Did Hongnong lose too many crops? Also, the various livestock and poultry that your brother mentioned in the breeding plan that he came up with later also lost a lot of them. Bai Go thought of the severity of the situation. If the information he got from Xiao Bei was consistent with what he thought, then this winter would not be easy for Hongnong. Xiao Bei nodded vigorously. Before she said anything, she cried. She was very sad. Only when Bai Go comforted her did she rub her eyes, pursed her lips, and told Bai Go what she saw in Hongnong. When Bai Go heard Xiao Bei's explanation, his eyes could not help but turn red. Xiao Bei said that when she came to Hongnong, she saw a vast ocean. Bai Go understood the ocean. He had been to the ocean before. What Xiao Bei saw was crooked or fallen trees. In the fields that were supposed to be harvested in autumn, there was not a single grain growing. They were all gone. Some were floating on the water, and some were washed away. There were also houses outside the county. Some had strong gables left, and some were even villages. Only floating logs could be seen squeezing together. The water was muddy. When one swam on the water, one did not dare to breathe easily. There was white foam between the grass sticks, dead pigs, dead dogs, dead chickens, and a few scattered ducks and geese looking for food. Even the mice were floating. Some places could not be drained, and the water became dirty and smelly. There were also a few people who were drowning. Grandpa Bai, if I did not know that this was Hongnong when I came, I would have thought that I came to the wrong place. Grandpa Bai, do you know? It was not a problem of how much money was lost. It was a problem of how long it would take for Hongnong to recover. There was no grain in the surrounding area. Everyone was crowded in the county. My family transported goods here by cart. My brother had ordered to hire people from the surrounding areas to send necessities to Hongnong. The water transportation had been stopped long ago. The dam was not blocked yet. A cart of stones fell down and disappeared in the blink of an eye. As Xiao Bei spoke, he started crying again. Bai Go gritted his front teeth. He finally understood the real situation from Xiao Bei's words. That was to say, the foundation of the entire Hongnong had collapsed. If there were no corresponding strong measures, it would take many years for the people of Hongnong to recover. Their savings of many years were gone. Some of their family members had died. Their houses had to be rebuilt. They had to live in debt for a period of time. The most terrible thing was that the people of Hongnong had just gotten used to planting the new seeds distributed by the Sinongsi temple. They had just increased the yield per moo. Furthermore, they had just understood how to breed animals in sets and had started to breed livestock in large quantities. It was the year of harvest, and they knew that good days were coming. Suddenly, a man-made disaster came, and their hope turned into disappointment. The kind of heartache caused by the government's inaction, no, the persecution by the government officials was the most difficult to heal. Xiao Bei, don't cry. Everything will get better. Bai Go sighed. He closed his eyes and took a few deep breaths. He patted Xiao Bei's head and comforted him. Xiao Bei nodded vigorously. I won't cry. Crying won't solve the problem. I will take care of the children in Old Willow Village. I promise, not only will I let them live peacefully here, I will also not affect their studies. Wait for me. When I return to the capital, I will bring Yanjing back too. See how I will deal with him. That's good. Xiao Bei is the best. Bai Go did not doubt Xiao Bei's words. He believed that Yan Zheng's disaster had come. The final outcome would be Yan Zheng going crazy. As for the specific situation, he still needed to go to the county to see Zhang Xiaobao. He could only hope that Zhang Xiaobao could turn the tide and support the affairs of Hongnong as soon as possible. He wanted to solve the problems of the people's lives before winter came. Winter is not good, Bai Go said angrily. It's okay. Winter is fine, Xiao Yuan said firmly. Oh. Why? Bai Go looked over and asked. Because we have spent money. We have put in our own pocket money, more than 1.3 million strings of cash. Brother is mobilizing resources from the surrounding areas. A few construction teams near Xingjing Construction are also rushing here. The follow-up construction materials will be delivered soon. Brother said that this time, we must let the people of Hongnong live in warm and sturdy houses during winter. This is because the disaster this time was caused by the officials. The officials cannot lose their credibility. If there is no food, they can plant. If the house is collapsed, they can rebuild. If the people's hearts are lost, it will be very scary. Within half a month, all the accumulated water must be drained. Within a month, the houses must be built. Within 2 months, all the livestock and poultry that the people lost must be compensated. At the same time, the land and water routes must be unblocked, and better than before. If the local people in the county are not enough, they can be transferred from outside. If there are not enough people, the army will take over. Even if they have to use their mouths, they must drain the accumulated water. This is to let the people of Hongnong know that the imperial court values them very much and has never given up. Only by doing this can we eliminate the negative influence of Yan Zheng and the other officials. Xiao Yuan said one thing after another to Bai Go. His eyes were filled with confidence. It was as if what he said could be realized immediately because the decision was made by his brother. Bai Go was stunned. He did not expect Zhang Xiaobao to value this so much. Of course, after knowing Zhang Xiaobao's decision, he was relieved. Since Zhang Xiaobao wanted to do it, he would definitely be able to do it. Oh, you have put in your pocket money. Is your family unable to make ends meet? Bai Go was curious about this matter. Could it be that the Zhang family and the Wang family could not even transfer 1.3 million strings of cash? Xiao Bei waved his hand and said, No, how can my family not have money? I came here first and saw the disaster situation, so I made a promise to the people. Anyway, I don't need much money. Xiao Bei is a good child, Bai Go praised. That's true. Xiao Bei nodded. Well, I won't stay here any longer. I'm going to the county city to see your brother. I have something to discuss with him. I'll leave the matters here to Xiao Bei. I believe he can do a good job. Bai Go planned to leave. No problem. Goodbye, Grandpa Bai. Xiao Bei puffed out his chest. After Bai Go left, Xiao Bei and the group of children continued making dolls. All of them were even more motivated. On the road to the county city, Bai Go saw barren fields on both sides. When he was tired of walking, he stopped to rest. He looked at the sky and sighed. A man-made disaster is worse than a natural disaster. Xiao Bao would not do this just to appease the people. Why do you think? Bai Go asked the housekeeper next to him. The housekeeper was still young and was the grandson of the old housekeeper. He was still a young man in his 30s. Bai Go wanted to bring him to see Zhang Xiaobao. As he had just become the housekeeper not long ago, most of his understanding of Zhang Xiaobao came from other people. Hearing Bai Go's question, the housekeeper replied respectfully, Master, is it because Zhang Xiaobao wants to build up his reputation? I heard that the current emperor specially added an autumn imperial examination for him and Wang Wan. However, something happened and it was postponed for a month. With a reputation, he has a better chance of becoming the top scorer. Hee hee. Bai Go looked at his young housekeeper and laughed. Chongqing, Bai Go said the housekeeper's name, Xiaobao needs Hong Nong's reputation. The top scorer can't be anyone else. Xiaobao has always been a scheming person. If he didn't come to Hong Nong personally and let Xiao Bei and the other 9 children do the work, it might really be because he wants to rebuild Hong Nong. However, he came, and so did Cuckoo. You're saying that Xiao Bao can't mobilize the army by himself? Don't just think of him as a civil official. Back in Tubo, he and Cuckoo cooperated with each other. Even if he didn't know how to command the army in the past, wouldn't he learn a thing or two from being with Cuckoo every day? That's a fool. How can Xiao Bao be a fool? The reason why he doesn't show his military talent is the same reason why Cuckoo doesn't show her economic and political talent. Unless it's someone close to them, other people's impression of them is that one is a civil official and the other is a military official. When they deal with the two of them, they will target them. They are waiting for the people who want to deal with them to feel that the time is right. The moment they make a move, they will let the other party know that civil officials can change into military officials at any time, and military officials can change into civil officials immediately. Do you understand? The housekeeper called Chongqing was frightened by Bai Go's words. After thinking carefully, he admitted, when the time comes, it's indeed very scary. But I still don't know what's the difference if Zhang Xiaobao comes personally. I thought of a few points. I'll tell you. Bai Go didn't really approve of the new housekeeper's ability. The reason why he still used Chongqing was because he was loyal enough. It had been a long time since he guessed Zhang Xiaobao's motive. Bai Go was a little excited. In the past, he and the other old guys, including the emperor, liked to scheme against Zhang Xiaobao the most, but they always failed. Xiaobao always does things with antelope horns. Bai Go cracked a smile and said to the housekeeper. First, Xiaobao wants the Fan Metro Cavalry Battalion to adapt to the environment in the interior of the Tang Empire. If I'm not wrong, the other 6 battalions will follow. The most terrifying soldiers are not only good at fighting in the designated environment, but also the Miao Protection Team. In their words, they are all-terrain and all-weather fighting forces. In water battles, they can't compare to people who specialize in water battles. In mountain battles, they can't compare to soldiers who specialize in mountain battles. It's the same for grasslands and deserts. However, they were not inferior by much. Under the command of the same general, 1,000 against 1,000, they would definitely lose, but they would definitely not lose miserably. However, as long as they were given 2 more teams, they would have the advantage in terms of numbers and they would be able to win. The biggest problem is that the general who is commanding them is not an ordinary person, but Cuckoo, who gives military lessons to the Tang Empire's generals. Outsiders give Cuckoo the title of devil because she kills a lot of people, and she is not soft-hearted when killing people. She often laughs when she kills people. Our great Tang's generals gave her the title of Demon Fox. They all said that she was as cunning as a fox. When she had the advantage in numbers, there was no hope of defeating her. Even when her forces were weak, she would always find an opportunity. So, they want to train the Iron Cavalry Battalion. They don't need the current 8 battalions to go to the original Tufan area. They wanted to teach the generals of Great Tang a lesson so that they can't be too proud. Losing on a sand table is better than losing in a real battle. Bai Goat sighed again. As for why Cuckoo and Xiao Bao were able to defeat each other last time, he didn't mention it. In fact, it was very simple. It meant that Cuckoo and Xiao Bao would usually bring the commanders at home to do sand table simulations when they had nothing to do. They had probably used the sand table to simulate every place in Great Tang. When they encountered a situation, they knew how to deal with it and how to deal with it. Thus, they didn't need to communicate much. They were already familiar with the terrain and fighting style of each other. Master, I know the first reason. It's to train the soldiers. What about the second reason? The housekeeper also looked forward to seeing it with his own eyes in the autumn. Bai Su stood up, stretched his legs and feet, and continued to walk in the direction of the county town. As he walked, he said to the housekeeper, "Second, I guess it's to deter people from other places who still want to scheme against us. Japan needs to pay something for this before Zhang Xiaobao will let go. So there are these 2 reasons. Master is really good." The housekeeper praised at the right time. However, Bai Go didn't appreciate it at all. He frowned and said, "I can only think of 2 reasons. But Xiao Bao definitely has more than 2 reasons. He won't become more stupid as he lives. When we get there and see him, you will follow me. Then you will know how good his calculations are." Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't know that Bai Go was coming. Both of them were busy. Zhang Xiaobao mobilized materials from all over the country. Wang Wan, as Bai Go guessed, also tried to let the people of the Iron Cavalry camp adapt to the food and climate in the interior of the Tang Empire when she commanded them to work. Not to mention, the technology now can't compare to the technology we had back then. The difference is too great. How many lives do you plan to use to make up for it? Wang Wan didn't want the Tang Empire to lose a lot of people at a time when it needed people and there was no war. Zhang Xiaobao held the pen and suddenly smiled. He said to Wang Wan, "Of course I know people will die, but I can't bear to let people of the Tang Empire die. I can't be a pacifist in the world in my life. My idea is that I can't come here for nothing." "Where are you?" Wang Wan couldn't think of a place where people could come from. In Japan, the Japanese have a good point. They are willing to work and do things. When they were defeated and surrendered, the women in Japan could also bear the heavy burden. Just like the women in North Korea, they are all good people. Zhang Xiaobao pointed to the east, which meant that he was pointing to Japan. "Then how do you plan to get the Japanese to come over?" "I don't feel bad for them if they die, but they are not stupid. How can a fool create futures?" Wang Wan was even more puzzled. "Xiao Bao, Cuckoo, I'm here. Xiao Bao, come out and meet me." Before Zhang Xiaobao could explain how to get the Japanese to come over, an old man's shout came from outside. Hearing the sound, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looked at each other and said at the same time, "Why is he here?" The two didn't dare to delay. They got up and went to see Baigo. Seeing that Baigo was still so healthy, they felt a sense of pride. They had changed the time of Baigo's life. "You've grown taller." Baigo also looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. The smile on his face didn't stop. He looked left and right and couldn't get enough of them. Zhang Xiaobao also laughed and walked over with Wang Wan. One on the left and one on the right, they helped Baigo into the house. "Grandpa Bai, why are you here? You should stay in the capital. Why go to the disaster area and suffer?" "If you don't tell me the truth, I will not die in peace." Baigo was stubborn. He turned his head back and stared at Zhang Xiaobao. He had to say something. Zhang Xiaobao spread his hands helplessly. "Grandpa Bai, I really have to hand it to you. You're clearly putting a duck on a perch." "Alright, since you asked, I've come up with an idea on the spot. I'll tell you. Not just one." Baigo shook his head. Who doesn't know that Zhang Xiaobao is a serial schemer? If it were someone else, it would be good if they could think of 2 or 3 related ideas. If you, Zhang Xiaobao, did not have a series of ideas, would you come to Hongnong personally? The autumn quarter examination will be delayed for a month. All the expenses will be borne by your family. If you really do a business that is at a loss, the Tang Empire will have lost all its money. Then you have to tell me one by one. Zhang Xiaobao was still so sincere. "Say it." Baigo had a look of, "I am right." Zhang Xiaobao pondered for a moment and said, "Besides the 3 points just now, there is one more point. Put pressure on the Japanese and make them admit their mistakes. This way, we can increase the tariffs on Japanese exports. At the same time, we can promise to sell them more technology. So that they can buy it back and study it, but they can only use the Tang Empire's money, and the price is very high. If they want to get more money, there are 2 ways. First, let the Tang Empire's businessmen go to Japan as soon as possible to open tourist attractions. When the Tang Empire's people go there, they will naturally spend the Tang Empire's money. Second, sell more basic resources, such as silver, copper, high-end seafood, and sulfur. Otherwise, they will not be able to take out the money to buy our products and go back to study the technology. In this way, the Tang Empire's plundering of resources in Japan will be smoother, more convenient, and faster. Now that Xinhua can no longer make waves, I will deal with Japan as soon as possible so that I can continue to expand and plunder more resources. Otherwise, when the people in other places become smarter and more powerful, it will cause too many casualties in the Tang Empire if we want to plunder. The oil we dug out is a lot in other places. Even after many years, it is still very useful and will become a national strategic item. Before Baigo, who was listening at the side, could speak, his butler could not help but say, "I don't agree with you selling technology. What if they figure it out?" After saying that, he saw the 3 people looking at him in surprise, so he immediately lowered his head. He knew that he was wrong and did not have the right to speak. Zhang Xiaobao did not pursue the matter. The other party had good intentions. He smiled and explained, "Technology needs to be sold. Our Tang Empire's technology is developed step by step. Many of the technologies that are good for the Japanese are actually outdated. Outdated technologies waste a lot of materials and are not worth it. Also, some technologies have a great impact on the environment and the human body. We need the movements produced by that technology to be processed by another technology, but we don't want to cause too much damage to our Tang Empire, so we can only let the Japanese do the rough processing. When the time comes, I will provide a part of the technology that Japan needs a lot of raw materials. Japan doesn't have raw materials, but our Tang Empire doesn't. Even if we have it, we can't sell it to Japan. They have to obtain it themselves. I rented them a ship and found a way to let them learn how to make the oldest generation of steam engines. This is to let them go overseas to search for resources. When they arrive at a new place, they will clash with the local natives. No matter how advanced the weapons are, people will die. The Japanese can be the vanguard, understand? I understand. Go on. Baigo continued. Chapter 941. Baigo's expression was calm. He was used to Zhang Xiaobao's power, so he was not surprised by Zhang Xiaobao's idea. The other housekeeper was shocked. No wonder the other party had a higher status than him at such a young age. It was because the other party was thinking about different things from him. He was still thinking that he couldn't hand over the technology, but the other party was already thinking about why he should teach others. Zhang Xiaobao took a sip of tea and glanced at the housekeeper, but he did not say anything. Baigo thought for a while and said to the housekeeper, "You will meet more officials in the future. Remember to listen, remember, and observe. Speak less. Many things are not as simple as they seem. The game behind the scenes is very difficult. Of course, it is not difficult for Xiaobao, and you can't talk about it." After talking to the housekeeper, Baigo said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, what's next?" Zhang Xiaobao understood. Baigo trusted the housekeeper. He was not afraid of him revealing the secret, but he also had a way to prevent him from revealing it. "I also want to set up a technical training class for Japanese civilians. There will be no salary, only food and lodging. First, there will be a preliminary training. Those who perform well in the training will be rewarded with a point. Then, they can use the points to exchange for skills. The initial plan is to accept 200,000 people. They only want men. They must be strong and know some skills. They can also be weak, but they must not be too weak. They must be able to walk at least 30 to 50 miles a day without any accidents." At this time, a ray of moonlight shone in through the window and shone on Zhang Xiaobao's face. Zhang Xiaobao felt more holy. No matter how Baigo looked at it, he thought that the ray of moonlight was warning Zhang Xiaobao not to be too black-hearted. The so-called not too black-hearted meant that Zhang Xiaobao had to sell others so that they could count the money for him. When the moonlight left Zhang Xiaobao's face, Baigo said, "Can you tell me in detail? What are the basic skills that we need 200,000 Japanese to do?" "No details. It's very simple. For example, leveling the road, strengthening the foundation, laying stones for shock absorbers, and, there's also the sleepers and the tracks, right?" Before Zhang Xiaobao could finish, Baigo had already finished his sentence. "Ah. So, Grandpa Bai, you also know technology." Zhang Xiaobao was surprised. "What do I know about technology? It's not like I haven't seen railway construction before. Not only is it tiring, but there are also dangers at any time. Just the laying of the railway from Chang until Woyang cost more than 40 lives, and even more were injured. It's impossible to guard against the dangers. When carrying the railway, one careless mistake could result in an accident. You're worried about the people of my great Tang, so you plan to use someone else. In any case, in your eyes, the lives of foreigners aren't worth as much as an ox. You're too ruthless, but I support you. As long as you don't kill any of my great Tang, I won't feel uneasy." Baigo didn't need Zhang Xiaobao to explain more. He knew that the most ruthless person was Xiaobao. Although Cuckoo had killed a lot of people, she was still not as ruthless as Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao was ruthless because he didn't want you to die immediately, but tortured you. Xiao Bao was also the most soft-hearted. He couldn't bear to see anything happen to the people of Great Tang. Just like Sanshui County, as long as the people of Great Tang went to Sanshui County, even if they were penniless and had not eaten for days, once they entered the territory of Sanshui County or were seen by the people of Sanshui County, they would not die unless they were seriously ill. There were many small houses for people to rest in Sanshui County. As a Great Tang citizen, you could spend money to buy good things, eat free food, and drink free soup. The free things were not so good, but they could fill your stomach. If you were sick, there would be someone to treat you. It seemed that Xiao Bao felt that too many people died in the construction of railways, so he didn't want to do that, so he went to deceive the Japanese. The Japanese probably didn't know that before they came, and thought that they could take back the advanced technology. When they started to work, they couldn't leave even if they wanted to. Xiao Bao, when the Japanese come, do you care if they fall ill? What about their meals and accommodation? Bai Go asked. Fall ill? Of course. When the Japanese come, they are not allowed to leave the designated place, in case the sick people of Great Tang infect them. I'm kind-hearted and can't bear to see the Japanese get infected. Besides, the Dei Medical College will send skilled students to treat their diseases. Zhang Xiaobao touched his heart to show that he was kind-hearted. Students? Not doctors or medical doctors? Bai Go asked again. They will be led by doctors and medical doctors. When they encounter special and serious diseases, they can teach the students on the spot. For example, if they need to perform an operation, the doctors and medical doctors need to show the students. If there's a wrong cut, they have to explain to the students in time and tell them how to cut. Zhang Xiaobao put his other hand on his heart to show how kind-hearted he was. What about their meals and accommodation? They have the best highland barley as their staple food and delicious salted vegetables. You said that radish and salted vegetables are very delicious. You don't eat much meat, so they are the same. I can't be so cruel to let them eat meat every day, which will make their bodies unhealthy. Every half a month, I will give them nutrition. You know bean cakes, right? They are the leftovers after the oil is squeezed out. They can be used to make tofu and feed. The emperor also admitted this point. Fortunately, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo did not have the intention to seize the throne, nor did they threaten the emperor. They even encouraged the emperor to eat good food, wear good clothes, and use good things. They could create luxuries that the emperor could not imagine for the emperor. They could also get entertainment that the emperor could not think of for the emperor. Other officials were afraid that the emperor would spend a lot of money when he went on an inspection tour. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo encouraged the emperor to go out for a walk when he had nothing to do, even if they had to pay for it. There was really no better official than them. However, the emperor himself had said that there was a prerequisite. That was, the emperor could not be muddle-headed and muddle-headed. He should not hinder Xiao Bao and Cuckoo from doing things. It's hard to understand what the two of them are thinking. If other people had this ability, they might not be able to bear it and rebel. The two of them are actually enjoying it. Do they really think that being the emperor is too tiring and not fun? It makes sense. The emperor is indeed not as carefree as the two of them. Bai Go did not speak for a while. He was thinking about something. Zhang Xiaobao did not know what Bai Go was thinking. If he knew, he would definitely tell Bai Go, is it so easy to be the chairman and premier? Don't you see that people in those positions age quickly? Seeing that Bai Go did not speak, Zhang Xiaobao spoke. Grandpa Bai, actually, the businessmen of my dynasty are very smart. I want to build a few more distribution centers. My family can't always pay for it. Some money can't be earned. When it's time to delegate power, it has to be delegated. I want to build a distribution center in Hong Nong and let other businessmen see the opportunity. They would follow the example of other places and build a place for the circulation of goods in order to gain benefits. Only the goods that were circulated were considered goods. The faster the circulation, the more taxes the country would collect. It was not wrong to hide wealth from the people, but the central government must have more money to control the local areas. Otherwise, with the development of technology, there will be imbalance in the development of the local areas. The local areas are strong, and the central government does not have the power to control them except for the military. If they continue to support the local areas, it is actually tempting the local officials to rebel. The financial and military power must be firmly controlled by the emperor. Zhang Xiaobao finally spoke the truth. Wang Wan sighed. Bai Go also sighed. His sigh was different from Wang Wan's. Wang Wan knew too many facts and sighed for history. Bai Go sighed for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. So you and Cuckoo are here? Yes. Zhang Xiaobao said in a heavy tone. Yes, what? No, continue. Bai Go turned his face and asked about Zhang Xiaobao's calculations. His butler thought that Zhang Xiaobao had already said the last thing, but he did not expect his master to not let go. He began to feel that his master was too much. How could there be more? Zhang Xiaobao was also a person, and he could say many things. But just as he was about to sympathize with Zhang Xiaobao said unhappily, Grandpa Bai, you can't ask about everything. No matter what, you have to leave me with some secrets. There's more. There's really more. The butler's eyes widened. While he was frightened by Zhang Xiaobao's calculations, he admired his master more and more. This time, Zhang Xiaobao did not need Bai Go to force him. He said, Grandpa Bai, the entire Hunan province, and even Luoyang, officials are involved. A large number of officials have to go down. I will stay in Hongnong until the fall imperial examination. What do you think His Majesty will ask about? Of course, it's about the governance of Hunan province in the imperial examination, especially the subject of Mingjing. Bai Go answered directly. Yes, so now the students of Jinjia Academy are preparing for the examination. You also know that most of the students of Jinjia Academy are in the combat category, so I have to create some opportunities for them. One person has to be replaced by another person. I think the students of Jinjia Academy are better, don't you think? Zhang Xiaobao showed an expression of, I'm very honest. Bai Go was stunned and pointed at Zhang Xiaobao. You. Xiaobao, you. Cuckoo, why don't you scold him? He even interferes with the appointment and dismissal of officials. I don't know. Wang Wan looked very innocent. Xiaobao, Grandpa Bai is scolding you. Let go. Hunan province belongs to the imperial court. What does it have to do with us? If there are vacancies in the officials, there will naturally be people anxious to get in. Why do you care if they are capable? When there are no students of the academy, Hunan province is no longer Hunan province. It's useless for the students of the academy to be capable. Someone has to think that they are capable. Let's get them to work in the Bohai Commander-in-Chief's mansion. They can also do something. Grandpa Bai, look, I'm talking about Xiaobao. Bai Go was so angry that he laughed. Ha, Cuckoo, you'd better talk about me. We are indeed from the same family. You have to be biased when you speak. Yes, in recent years, the imperial court has been suppressing the students of your academy. The officials are also afraid. As you said, they are all practical. If they really join hands with you, how can the imperial court control them? I don't care. Hunan province is developing the best, but it has always been the most chaotic. There should be a clear stream. Baigo had no choice. The students of Jianjia Academy were extraordinarily capable. Unlike the students of other academies, they were very strict in selecting talents. They didn't want those with low IQ or those who were unwilling to learn. When it was time to take the imperial examination, they still had to go through the internal selection of the academy. The selection of Jianjia Academy included economic, political, military, and diplomatic aspects. It could be said that there was a constant struggle. Only by passing the selection could one get a place to take the imperial examination. As a result, all the students who could sit in the examination hall were the best, because those who were not good enough had been eliminated. Since Grandpa Bai supports me, I'll say something else. Zhang Xiaobao said happily, "You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."